I know that H is extremely concerned about AI. And anytime I see it, I think about you because I know how you are with this. It's kind of funky, H, in the aspect that I know how to pick up the telephone and call somebody. I know how to go to the grocery store, and if I need something, right, I go pick it up. I know how to do things on my own. This whole notion that they got bringing groceries to your house and you get everything. They bring in groceries to your house. You can order stuff off the TV. And I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on? Am I not going to be able to do anything? Is any and everything going to be at my disposal? That's kind of creepy because it kind of what it does is it challenges my existence. If I don't have to do anything, what exactly am I doing here? I don't have to study because AI is going to do that for me. I don't have to go grocery shopping. AI is going to do that for me too. I don't even have to drive my car because AI is doing that. So
self-drive.
What?
But the thing that bothers me is not like technology or change. Like these are things that have always progressed and it's progressing more and more rapidly. The thing that bothers me is people just they're nonchalant. They're like, oh, there's now a machine that can control my brain and I'll try it. Like I'll pay $4,000 to try it. That sounds cool. Like, no, why is nobody concerned about the like ramifications? And the fact that I think we've lost the need to like work hard with our hands. Like that's as human beings, that's what we're meant to do. We're not meant to just be on screens. It's like they ask what cancer comes from. I have a couple ideas, like I don't know, man. It's a wild ride, but we're here for it. And
we are.
Of anything, it does give us our sports takes and all the information a lot faster. So I will say there's a lot of benefits. Speaking of Jay. All right, so recently I've been getting a lot of, I guess, questions about some of your Jayson Tatum takes. So I want to end this once and for all. I want to get to the root, and we're going to go into the, obviously, Boston. You're a Boston guy.
I am. I'm not. Hold on, H. I'm not a Boston guy. I'm a Jayson Tatum guy.
Okay.
And it just so happens that the rest of those dudes that he's running with are really good. So I do pay attention to them. But I'm more of a Tatum guy than I am a Boston guy. That's what I am. But keep going.
Okay, fair. But do you think that your Boston, because I'll admit, I'm Warriors fan. Steph is my guy. And I'm biased. I'm a bit biased when it comes to Golden State. Do you think the way, like, for example, one of the standards you have is kind of like, okay, by, I guess, year 5, year 6, that's the guy. Okay. Does that same standard apply to Jayson Tatum in your mind?
It does. Yes, it does. See, I think that a lot of people misconstrue what year 5 means. Year 5 means this is probably who you are as a player. For example, H, if I look at your man, Steph Curry, right? Steph Curry, by year 5, he was averaging 24 a game. Did he have better seasons after that? Yeah, absolutely. He led the league in scoring. Not only did he lead the league in scoring, won the league MVP, won the NBA championship, was an all-pro. But by year 5, what you've seen from him at that point, this is probably who he is moving forward. You're probably going to get some better versions of this, but expect this on the regular. This version of him, this is what you should expect on the regular. If you look at Steph Curry's numbers, I believe last year, if his career ended last year, I think he averages for his career about 24 games. That was Steph Curry in year 5. So when you're talking about players by year 5, this is who they are in the aspect of this is what their game is turned into. Sure, their body may mature because remember, H, we're not talking about a lot of these guys going to school for 3-4 years. A lot of these guys go to school for 1, maybe 2 years tops, or they'll come from Europe and they're 18, 19 years old. So more times than not, by year 5, these guys, in terms of their games, all right, this is probably what it is. Now, I'm probably going to add something to my game moving forward, like Jason Kidd did. He added the long ball to his game. LeBron James added the long ball to his game later on down the line. With that being said, by year 5, this is around what you should expect moving forward. This is the defender that he is. This is the rebounder that he is. You're going to get better seasons, and you may get better versions of it. But what you see in year 5, this is probably what you should expect moving forward. So when I watched Jayson Tatum, year 5 was 2022, I think it was. Yeah, 2022 was year 5 when they went in the NBA Finals. So that year, I think he averaged 26 a game. Yeah, I think he averaged 26, 7, and 4, I think. That's what he averaged. Now, moving forward, he could very well be better in some cases, but this is probably who he is, about a 25, 26 a game, 27, 20, between 26 and 20, 28 a game guy.
Yeah.
This is probably who he is. You're not going to get a 35 a game guy on the regular. You're not going to get a 32 a game guy on the regular. This is probably what you're going to get moving forward. Okay. On average. This is probably what you're going to get. So if we're looking at Jayson Tatum, I think this year, I think he's averaging 27 a game, and the unit that he's on short, it's a much better unit. Last year, he averaged 30 a game, and that's largely due to him improving every year, right? Him improving every year, which is where your peak comes in. So year 5 is around the time when, all right, this is probably who he is, but we'll get to a point where we'll have a 3-4 year span where, yo, this guy is awesome. But that's not who he is. That's the height of who he is. This other guy around year 5, that's actually who he is. This is the best version of who he is when we're talking about his peak. Same logic with Steph Curry. When you saw the 32 a game, when you saw the 29 a game, when you saw him shooting the long ball the way he was shooting it, that was the best version of who he was. But in year 5, that's probably who Steph Curry is. So when I look at Jayson Tatum, I'm looking at a guy who, when he showed up in the NBA, I was a fan right from the beginning. When I saw him at Duke, when I saw him when he first came into the league, I watched him in the summer of 17, in the summer league in Salt Lake, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy has 20 a game written all over him. Mm-hmm. Now, I was a little apprehensive off the strength that he played for the Celtics. I am not a Celtic guy. Yeah. I am not. I'm not going to say I am not a Celtic guy, but I wanted to pay attention to him because I'm like, yo, I like this guy's game. And turns out he started turning into what I thought he was going to turn into. The difference is they started winning. So the expectation every year became higher instead of playing for a team where, like Wemby, like nobody expects the San Antonio Spurs to win the NBA championship next year. Nobody expects them to contend for the Western Conference championship. I'm talking, when I say nobody, I mean reasonable people. Nobody expects them to actually contend they expect them to build. Well, Jayson Tatum as a rookie, they're in the East Finals, and they take Cleveland to Game 7. Well, damn, these guys are on their way. They got to be close. Well, then the next year, they get Kyrie Irving back, and they end up losing in the semifinals. And now the expectation, it continues to grow. 5 years later, they're in the NBA Finals. So when you're on a team like that, and you have those kind of expectations in terms of team goals, the expectation for you as a player rises. And sometimes because your game isn't improving as fast as the expectation that people have on you, they become more critical of you, which sometimes I think is unnecessary. And the fact that Jayson Tatum gets the kind of slander that he gets, I think it's unfair and I think it's unnecessary.
Okay, so I hear you on all of that and agree. Like he right away, he was obviously, I mean, Jaylen Brown, once they started winning, continuously, I hear you. And I do think that is a lot on their shoulders at that point. But now I guess where maybe some of the concern comes from, because if there was for example, if Golden State was still in their dynasty era, and they kept matching up with them and kept losing in the finals, then I could understand. But the thing is, they have now made it to multiple Eastern Conference finals, 4 of them, and then 1 finals appearance, and lost continuously. So I think that if this was any other team, if this was Milwaukee, I think that we would look at the situation differently. And I think that we would question, why isn't this working and who's to blame? Well, Jayson Tatum, he's the face of that franchise. Right. And so I think that's where some of the criticism comes from. Now, if this was Milwaukee in the same exact situation, let's say they didn't win the chip, let's say it was the Celtics, but you're putting the Milwaukee label on it. You're tagging them with that. Would you critique them differently?
Well, they were critiqued differently, and they were critiqued differently off the strength of exactly what you just said. It was Milwaukee. When Giannis was coming up, Milwaukee was on their way. The process of them being on their way, they lose in the playoffs. Then they lose in the playoffs. Okay, they're getting close. They lose in the Eastern Conference Championship. Giannis needs to get better. It wasn't Giannis isn't what we think he is. It was Giannis needs to get better. When they lose in the bubble in 20, Giannis needs to get better. It wasn't Giannis isn't what we think he is. His game is whack. No, it was he needs to get better. But Milwaukee is close. If Giannis was in Boston, if Giannis was playing for the Lakers, if Giannis was playing for the Knicks, it would be way more scrutiny. It would be way more slander, considering what he had done. We're talking about a back-to-back league MVP, right? We're talking about a back-to-back league MVP. We're talking about the defensive player of the year. If he was in Boston doing that, if he was in, I don't know, Miami, if he was in New York doing that, it would be way different than if he was in Milwaukee or if he was in Phoenix, because the expectation in those cities, it's a lot higher than what it is playing in Milwaukee, because Milwaukee isn't a major market. And there's no way we can expect to be honest if we're saying that places where guys play doesn't matter.
No, yeah.
So a guy like Anthony Edwards would be a prime example. Anthony Edwards doing what Anthony Edwards is doing in Minnesota, Anthony Edwards is on his way. If Anthony Edwards was in Los Angeles doing this, why aren't you winning?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
The expectations
why isn't this thing moving fast enough? And it's the same logic with Jayson Tatum. Why aren't you there yet? Considering what had happened throughout the course of his career. We're talking about a Jayson Tatum who, as a rookie, Gordon breaks his leg. Jayson Tatum wasn't even supposed to be the starter in the beginning. He breaks his leg. Jayson Tatum now is thrusted into the starting lineup. He is now the starter as a rookie on a championship contender who goes game 7. I think he led them in scoring in the playoffs. So now we move forward to the next year. Kyrie Irving, he didn't have him. He lost him for the last 16 games of the regular season in 17-18 and lost him for the entire playoffs. Then the next year, which is 18-19, Gordon Hayward got hurt again. He got hurt again. Kyrie Irving had one of the worst shooting performances of his career. Then you move to the bubble in 2020 where they get to the Eastern Conference Championship, where he's running with Kemba Walker, who had one of the most horrendous performances of his career in the playoffs. Jaylen Brown doesn't average 20 a game until that year, which is year 4, right? He doesn't average 20 a game until year 4. These are the guys that he's running with. The very next year, which is 2021, when they lose to the Boston Celtics, I have no Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's gone because he's hurt in the playoffs. He has to score 50 in order for them not to get swept out of the playoffs. Right? He has to score 50. Then the next game, they lose, and he has to score 40 in order for them to stay in the game. Meanwhile, he's playing on quote-unquote bomb squads, which in reality, no, he is not. He is not playing on bomb squads. This is the best team that he's been on. And what you'll tell me he's always been surrounded by great players. Nobody was checking for Jay Crowder and Marcus Morris and guys like that. They were a good team. And I keep hearing people tell me, Kawhi Leonard would have won with this team. You put rookie Kawhi Leonard on that 17-18 team. You telling me rookie Kawhi Leonard from 2011, 2012, that rookie Kawhi Leonard who walked in the door, who nobody thought was a scorer. He was a defender and he was an energy guy. He turned himself into a scorer. We're talking about that guy coming up in the ranks with those guys. Kyrie Irving missing regular seasons and the playoffs, then having the worst shooting performance, which would have been, by the way, that's Kawhi Leonard's year number 2, by the way. That's year number 2 for Kawhi Leonard. That's not 18-19 Kawhi Leonard. That's not 2020 Kawhi Leonard. No, that's year 2 Kawhi Leonard. You telling me he winning with that crew? You telling me he winning in 2020? Year 3 Kawhi Leonard with Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown, who's in year 3, I believe in year 4 at that point. You telling me 3rd year Kawhi Leonard is winning with that? Well, he won in San Antonio. Yeah, he's winning with Tim Duncan and Tony Parker in a bomb squad. He's running with a bunch of good players. So the idea that Jayson Tatum has been raised on bomb squads, that's just not true. That is not true. Those teams were good. They just weren't there yet, and neither was he.
Okay, so that's kind of the backstory of what's led up to it. Now let's talk past 2020. Okay, so they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they make it to the finals and they lose. Now, when we talk about Tatum's specific performance throughout that finals run, it was good. Like, I won't say it wasn't, but I think a lot of the criticism is he fell short. He's a great regular season performer, but when it comes to the postseason, which we see with all superstars, I don't think you could say the same about LeBron's had some bad games, Steph's had some bad games, KD. Like you're not going to have 40 pieces throughout a finals appearance. I understand that that's why it's called a team, but I guess my frustration with Tatum, I'm not the biggest Tatum fan. I've come around to I have a whole lot of respect for the
You're not
team.
there yet. You're coming around, no H.
Well,
You're not. We don't have H yet, guys, but we getting up.
This is what I explained on playback the other night. It's not Tatum. I like Tatum. I like his game. I think he's a bit of a quieter leader. But I respect Tatum. I don't like the media's coverage of Tatum because, like you said, I think a lot of people saw this kid, saw his talent, and said, "This is our guy. Let's put him on a pedestal." And he's been placed on that pedestal, playing for Boston, one of the best franchises ever in NBA history. Yeah, that's like the East Coast LA, right? Like I get it. That's massive, but I don't think that. Where do you think the hate is derived from for most people? I guess let's start there.
I think the hate has been derived from Jayson Tatum playing for the Boston Celtics. It goes back to the person that goes to the private school that's basically been handed everything. That's what the Boston Celtics are. They're the private school that has all the nice things, and they have all the best amenities, and you have the opportunity to have the best. Can you imagine being blamed for your organization building a great team around you and being mad at that, as opposed to coming up in the ranks? And that's what's going on, because isn't that what you draft guys for? So you could build a great team around them. Would we get upset with Luka if the Dallas Mavericks did a better job of building around Luka, even though they did build around his skill set? It's not like they just kept bums around him. They built around Luka's skill set. But can you imagine if the Dallas Mavericks put, I don't know, they drafted Bradley Beal, and in the process of them drafting Bradley Beal, they drafted Damian Lillard, and then not just Damian, and then they built this kind of unit around Luka. Would we be talking about Luka in Dallas like, well, Luka's had the best of everything right from the beginning? No, we'd be like, Dallas did a great job of building around him. That's what we would say.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's true. And again, that like you said, that comes down to the specific market and where the city they're in, right? So right. I hear you there. So I guess like moving forward, and we can talk about the Boston Golden State game and what that means. Right. I think in the grand scheme, I don't know if it means too much, but we'll talk about it. But I think this postseason, and somebody already said they don't agree, but this postseason, if the Boston Celtics do not win the finals matchup, whoever that might be, because another thing that comes to mind is like I said, it wasn't in the middle of a dynasty. You've lost to Miami, you've lost to Golden State. And this season, I expect they'll probably match up with Denver. Who knows who they'll end up seeing? But if they lose this finals matchup, what does that say about Tatum, and will it change your mind? Let's say he averages. What did he average during the 22 finals? Was it like
22 a game?
Really? Is that the stat?
22 and 6.
So his numbers greatly decreased from the 30 to the 22. So dive into that, and if we see a similar stat line or around there, is that going to change your opinion? Especially when you have the unit of Porzingis, you have Derek White, you have so much, like you have all stars as your starting lineup. And we have
absolutely, H, and Tony, leave him alone. So, H, to answer your question,
yes,
this is the best opportunity I feel like he's had since he's been in Boston in terms of a collection of a unit. With Porzingis, this is the best big man that he's ever played with. With Drew Holiday, who's a better version of Marcus Smart, and Marcus Smart was the best lead guard that he played with. I think he was better than Kemba Walker in a lot of sense. I think he just fit better. So now you got a guy in Drew Holiday who basically does everything that Marcus Smart did, except I'm just better at it, right? So now I've also built up a chemistry with Jaylen Brown. In the process of me building up a chemistry with these guys, Derek White fills his role perfectly. I equate it to being in the kitchen, and all the ingredients that I need to cook a great meal, it's here. There is no reason why I can't do this. No reason why I can't do this. And I don't think that he has to do anything astronomical in order for them to win. He doesn't have to do what LeBron James did, where he has to lead the finals in points, rebounds, assists, blocks. He doesn't have to do all of that. I don't think he has to average 35 a game. I don't think he has to do any of that stuff. But what I do think is I feel like his game has to translate into the postseason. It can't take a dip, and it can't take a significant dip. And he can't be the reason why they aren't performing at the level that they need to perform at. It can't be him. And I don't think it's going to be him. I think that they're primed to be the NBA champs this year. And I think a lot of that is going to be because of him. Because I don't think we give a lot of guys credit for when they're playing on great teams, their role. I mean, as good as Kevin Durant was, Steph Curry doesn't do his job, they're not winning.
Yeah.
As good as Jordan was, Scottie Pippen doesn't do his job, they're not winning. So you definitely need for other guys to do their jobs. And I think that Jayson Tatum is going to do his job considering what his unit looks like. And I do think that they're going to be the NBA champs.
Okay. Fluent, how are you? How was the birthday?
It's been a great day.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Fluent Jr. and Little Miss Fluent.
Shout out.
For their birthday today. We were celebrating all day, And what can I say about my little daughter? She had a bit of a weekend. She dances, and why don't you just hit that button there, Haley?
All right.
Let's just hit that button there and show. Oh, yeah. Oh, is that what she did? Oh, she just medaled in every single dance and got first overall. Oh, all right. Is that all she did?
Nice.
All right.
Excuse me for a second while I get busy. I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all know me, but I kind of get busy a little bit. Excuse me.
That's just my
Runs
little
in the family.
What can I say? So give her a little shout out. We always give Fluent Jr. his props for his basketball his accomplishments. I figured we should do the same for Little Miss Fluent because she killed it. She killed it this weekend. I don't know. I don't want to go off topic too much, but let me just say this. I have no idea. She's in 6 different dances, and it's like as small as a trio, as big as like a 25-person thing. I don't know how she remembers every single damn step to every single song because they're long. They're like 3-4 minutes long.
So practice, Tom. What do you think I'm doing when I ain't hanging around you, Dad? What do you think I'm doing? I'm working on my game. So when you show up, it might look easy. No, Dad. I'm working on it.
Like, I'm just telling you, I watch it. I'm like, I'm lost. I don't have how you remember. And she like watches other dances that she's not even in, and she memorizes their steps. Like, I don't. Yeah. It's so. I'm not just saying it because of my daughter. This is to everybody that does it. It's crazy impressive when you have that many. And her school won the whole competition. They were first overall. So we got to call out Somerville Dance Academy. Salute. And you know what I got to get your opinion on something though. So who did it better? That's what I need to know. So me and Fluent Jr. were at the Raptors Scotiabank Arena doing our shoot around that we were allowed to tape, not the one that we weren't allowed to tape. We'll talk about that later. Can you click that? I'm just curious to get everyone's opinion. Who did better here? There's little Fluent Jr. for 3. That's an NBA 3, by the way, that he just hit.
Dang.
That's an NBA 3. And then he said, what about me from the logo?
Logo 3?
Yeah. Holy smokes, I'm no joke out the bullpen.
That's
Bringing nothing but
That's
Guys, it's
Fluent. Got the smooth handles too? Okay.
That's cash. All right.
For those that didn't know, logo 3, no problem.
Proof.
No problem. It's easy. It's easy for me. That's why I say the NBA draft, it makes sense. I'm built for this generation. I'm built.
And I expect tickets for both of us to come see you play.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I'll probably only get minutes. The good thing is I'll probably only get minutes against some of the bad teams. So, I'll bring you up when we're playing like Charlotte.
Okay. I'm in.
H, I'm going with the young fella because I can't stand this dude over here. That's
I know. I'm not surprised.
I can't stand this dude, so I'm going with the young
fella. He's got time. He's too many. 9 years away. 8 years away.
I like that Jay. That Jay look like his cash, though. I like what I'm seeing from him. I do.
I honestly hitting an NBA 3 for kids that was actually really it's impressive.
Wow. But it's obvious that he take after his father and he don't pass. So that's obvious.
A little bit selfish.
You know what? He keeps passing. I keep yelling at him to stop. Yeah. Actually, you know what the difference is? He plays like tenacious D. Because he plays a couple years up, right? So the boys are all bigger than him and more developed.
Yeah,
dude just sticks his nose in there. He's like that dirty work guy too. I always think he's gonna. As a dad, I'm like, as a coach, I'm like, yeah, good job. And then as a dad, I'm like, he's gonna. He's good. So,
Scouts will love that though. So keep it up.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So we were in the midst of a. Well, I had to ask Jay because I keep getting people asking me. I know they've been kind of asking him daily, about the Tatum debate, the Tatum argument. And so we kind of just broke down Tatum's career. And I'm curious to know. And basically the question I just asked is if the Celtics make the finals and lose, or somebody said even if they don't make the finals this season, what does that say? Like, how far can we keep taking this Tatum is gonna get there one day narrative, I guess? And is it fair to have that critique of him that people tend to do?
It's okay. It's fair to have the critique of him when you have guys like Jay who talk about him like he's the next face, the next guy in the NBA, and all he's shown us is that he's not. He's up there. He's fantastic. He's phenomenal. He's great, but he's not in there. He's not that top tier guy. He isn't.
What's top tier, Tone? When you say top tier, what do you mean top tier?
Jokic, Giannis, Steph, LeBron. That's like the top tier. Now those guys are getting older and they're starting to come down, but that's the top tier, right? Like Tatum now probably has the best team in the NBA collective. Right? He's got the best team in the NBA. If you want to be a top tier player and you have the best team, roster, and you can't win or at least get there again, I know he got there and lost. Then we do have to say like winning is what I think sets you apart from that second tier. And it's not even second tier because that's even disrespectful to say second tier. It's like 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
Tier 2 is I think it's a different.
Are you in the realm with those guys or the realm of like Devin Booker, some of the top names like Luka Doncic, but they're not quite at that like LeBron or
I think exactly. I think there's a sub tier because to say Jayson Tatum is tier 2 is just disrespectful to his game. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's like there's these 1As and he's like that 1B that all he needs left to do is win.
So Tone, when you say the first tier, what's the first tier? Is that the top 3? That's top 3 players? Is that top 4?
Depending on the season, it's probably
a level of
3,
it's
maybe
not even
5.
names. It's a level of play and capitalizing in the postseason. I think that's a tier.
Yes. It's he needs to have that, that MVP season, that leadership role, and he needs to, like you said, and deep playoff runs, he's getting there, right? He's right. Like I said, he's right there. He's like he's on 1B and he's got his hands on the bar and he's pulling himself up.
Yeah.
Right. You can see those guys and he's like, I see you, I'm coming. Right. But if they regress and they don't make the finals this year, barring injury, right? Of course, if Jaylen Brown gets hurt, if Porzingis gets hurt, of course, if he gets hurt. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they're all healthy and they go in and someone beats them, I still think he stays there at 1B. I'll tell you, I'm frustrated because I was like you, Jay, 2-3 years ago. I'm like, this guy's gonna be the next MVP, the next face of the league, the guy who takes the Celtics, to the finals. Not every year, but like because no one does that anymore. But every couple of years, like they're gonna. So he's there. He's right there. If he goes to the finals again this year, I don't think they have to win. If they go and he plays well, I think he takes that next step. But he's just, and you get frustrated. Because you and I had this conversation when he just plays, like when he balances his outside shooting with his going to the basket, he looks phenomenal. But like the Celtics as a team do, when he falls in love with that 3 and he just starts, It's I want to strangle
I think it's
him.
almost like I don't know, like a reboot, like because when you're in the finals or even like the Eastern Conference Finals, I can't imagine the stress and the pressure, and I feel like that's just his go-to when nothing's falling. It's like, okay, I'll just eventually the threes are going to start landing, and it makes him look worse than if he just, trust somebody else on his team. But again, like something you said, Jay, the player that gets the most hate if a team loses is also the player that's going to get the most love if they lose. And that's who he is for that team, for that franchise. Right. But I guess my thing, Jay, is I hear you and I agree with you. I think Tatum gets a lot of unnecessary hate for certain things, but it's really what the media has done to put him on this pedestal that he just hasn't capitalized on yet. And he has everything.
Hasn't he though? But the question is hasn't he though? I mean,
are people going to remember the Eastern Conference Finals wins, or are they going to remember chips?
That's the thing. What if I told you, H, that Giannis? I mean, he's in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He didn't win the NBA championship till year 8.
Yeah.
That's how long it took him to do it. And if Giannis was in Boston and he won the league MVP in back-to-back seasons and was the defensive player of the year, and he was losing in the postseason, how would we be talking about Giannis? We wouldn't be talking about him like we talk about him in Milwaukee. Yeah. Joker, just so we clear about Joker. Joker won the MVP last year. It was year 8 when he did it. If Joker was in Los Angeles playing for the Lakers and he was taking the Lakers to the Western Conference Championship and they were getting swept out of the playoffs, how would we be talking about Joker? We would not be talking about Joker.
Like he was trash.
Right. We would not be talking about him. He might have shown, to be quite honest with you, the year that he won the league MVP and they got swept out of the playoffs, he might have gotten traded that year if he was playing with the Lakers.
Maybe
he very well could have gotten traded, but because he's in Denver, the scrutiny isn't nearly what it is.
But he also had less help and less resources that Boston's given Tatum.
Well, is that true though, H? Because just so we clear, he's played with Jamal Murray for 7 years.
Yeah.
Same thing. And not only has he played with Jamal Murray for 7 years, the same thing that Jayson Tatum is playing with Jaylen Brown for 7 years. So in terms of
Jaylen Brown is a better player than Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Are we sure? I agree with you, Tom. But there are some people. There are some people, considering that what you just saw last year, what you saw last year in the playoffs, there are some people who will combat that because they won the NBA championship, because he played so well in the postseason. There are some people who will tell you that Jaylen Brown is not a better player than Jamal Murray, which I don't believe that. But there's some people who will tell you that. So the fact that I think it's the fact that I play for the organization that I play for, in addition to me playing for the organization that I play for, couple that with the way that the crew is built around me and the way that I perform in the postseason. Sure, Jayson Tatum has had his mishaps, but I've seen plenty of players have their mishaps in the postseason. And when they have their mishaps in the postseason, depending on where they are, I just said this to H before you showed up, Tone, when they lost to Toronto in the Eastern Conference Finals, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys remember this, but they were up 2-0 in that series. They were up 2-0 in that series and proceeded to get mopped out of the playoffs. Giannis was on his way. They built the wall. Giannis needs to improve. If Giannis was in New York and that happened, if Giannis was in Boston and that happened, they'd be talking about Giannis may not be the guy.
Yeah.
Maybe Giannis.
I never hear that narrative even talked about, Jay. I rarely hear that.
But hold on a second. Giannis won a championship in Milwaukee. And now what are people saying? That might have been lucky because he might not be that guy. Oh, he needs the help of Dame. So they're doing it anyway, even if he wins a chip. And that's shame on all of us for doing that sometimes. But that is the narrative. So Tatum is now what, in year 7?
This is year 7 that we're in right
he's
now.
Getting close, right?
26. Yep, just turned 26.
Some people take longer. Some people take longer. Some do it faster. But typically, you're winning that first chip kind of year 7, 8, 9. Typically, if he goes past that, I think it's safe to and he has the best roster, right? Like let's put that caveat there, because if his roster was garbage, right? Okay, then you can have that conversation. But Jaylen Brown is a perennial all-star, all NBA caliber player, all defensive caliber defender. Like you saw him the way. Have we talked about what he did to Steph? Okay, let's not.
We will.
We haven't gotten there yet.
I'm trying to avoid it.
Yes, she is.
So you can't say he doesn't have a running mate. And then they've had guys like Marcus Smart, who is a great role player. Now I think they upgraded at that position with Holiday. They brought in Porzingis. They, you know what I mean? They have veterans like Al Horford. So they've been doing, no one can get mad. If you're a Celtics fan, you can't get mad. Now, you might not agree with all the moves and the pieces, but they are absolutely trying to give him the best opportunity to win. Like when you look at some other guys, like when you look at even, prior to, and I'm not a big fan of this one, but prior to Luka getting Kyrie, what did I say? I'm like, Luka's will be looking for the door if they keep putting nobody's next to him, right? The one guy who started to look good, they let him go to the Knicks. And before his injury, he looks pretty damn good in New York. So, he almost has a built-in excuse. I don't think Jayson Tatum does. I think they've done right by him.
Yes, they have.
Done right
yes,
by
they
him.
have. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, they have. 100%. Like I said, Tone, I think that the space that we in now, this is the most complete roster that he's been on. Not only is it the most complete roster, this is the best team that he's ever been on. The way I talk about the Boston Celtics this year is the same way I talked about Denver last year. And I feel like everything that's necessary in order for them to win, I don't think that there is any time that needs to be had. I feel like this crew, barring injury, there's no reason why they shouldn't win the NBA championship. None.
And as much as, since you convinced me of, the Cavs being better than I thought they were, and I've been pushing the Cavs, I would be, and I hate to say this because you know what it means if they win. It means 18-17 in total rings. But I'd be very, very surprised if the Celtics did not win the NBA championship this year. Again, barring a significant injury, I would be very surprised.
But it's the gift and the curse, though, too, Tone, because if they win it, well, he had a bomb squad roster. And if he loses, well, how could you not win with this roster?
Doesn't matter. It's still a chip.
What?
It doesn't matter.
You know what?
It will matter. It shouldn't matter. It will, because people, happy birthday.
They're saying happy
What up, yo? What up, little dude?
I know you can't hear them.
I said,
how do they know? Everybody knows it's your birthday. You're a celebrity.
How do we know? We family. What are you talking about? How do we know? We know what school you go to. We know anything. What are you talking about? Anyway, as you were saying,
but people like, does anyone knock Steph for those 2 rings when KD joined?
Yes,
knock him.
Really? Yeah.
The only reason why you won because you got KD.
Daily. It's Steph and KD.
And H is a Warriors fan. She got to listen to that on the regular.
Experienced it. But the thing is, I think that last ring helped.
Let me rephrase. When time goes by, do people knock Dr. J for winning because MVP Moses Malone had to come over? No, most people forgot that MVP Moses Malone came over from Houston, and that's why they won. So I think it's fresh. If you wait 20 years, they're going to look at Steph and say, hey, he won 4 chips. This is how he did it. Exactly. I think the bomb squad, like you said, I think that goes away. I think in the moment.
No, it doesn't.
It'll be because we compare teams then. Then we'll compare like the greatest team. We will compare it. But I think just having that chip and saying, well, I did this. Now the more critiques, let's now go get a second one and see if he can continue to build his resume.
You know what Celtics fans are going to say if they win this year and you start saying, well, they had a bomb squad?
We do not care. No, we don't.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
And they've already got 17 more chips, so I think they'll.
So
they good.
And then, and to your point, Tone, there's a reason why those people are going to say something about it because we're here. So in 25, 30 years, when we're gone, there's going to be people that come behind us and go, yo, you remember when KD got on the Warriors when they had a bomb squad? Just like we talked about, yo, you remember when Moses left the Houston Rockets after he won the league MVP and got on the Philadelphia 76ers when they just was in the NBA Finals? There's going to be people like us coming back 25, 30 years to remind people, yo, you remember when KD jumped on that bomb squad Warriors team and they ended up winning the NBA championship?
But I think that one is more critiqued because the Warriors had, he was up 3-1 on the Warriors and they came back and beat him and then he joined them. So I think there's more.
They'll create a narrative. They'll create some type of narrative.
KD, can't believe you did that. Throw a monkey wrench in history. Can't believe you did that, KD. He could have changed history if he'd stayed.
Okay, are you taking away, LeBron's 2 with Wade and Bosch, his one with AD in the bubble, the one with Kyrie and where Kyrie hits the game one? Like you can't, because if you do that, you're taking away everybody's, right? Oh, well, Jordan had the leading rebounder and the best all-around player in the league at the time, Scottie Pippen. Well, those 3 don't count. Oh, well, before that, like you could literally not. KD was hurt the year the Raptors won. Oh, well, that one doesn't count. Like Denver, I'm sure that if I went through it, I'm sure I'd find it. There's always there's always someone, if you're looking for something, will say there's a reason. In reality, you win it, enjoy it. And as I say, I don't give a crap what anybody else says. This is what I love about myself. Just so you know, I'll do it maybe next week. I've gone back to not giving a crap what anybody thinks, because there was a moment where I did. So just so you know, my new top 10 list that's coming out, no active players. I'm back to who I am. I don't rank active players. You're all out. You're all out.
All right, I respect it. I respect
Back
it.
to who I am. Yeah, back to who I am.
Okay.
You brought me back to the old me.
So,
Yep. Back to reality.
Proud of you. So bringing it back to, I guess, kind of our main topic, where I said, does Boston have the most to prove this postseason if they either make the finals and lose or don't make the finals at all? Or do you think there's another team that has more on their shoulders this postseason?
No, I think it is the Celtics, because I think they're running away with the East. So you can't say it's like the West where they're close. So if someone upsets someone, you're not that surprised. They're kind of running away with the East. Second best team, and we already got to that point. We love the Cavs, but if that's the second best team and you got 5-6, I don't know how many game lead on them, you're the best team. You should be in the final. So I think, and Tatum in his 7th year, they brought they've done everything. Unfortunately, put that pressure on them that it's theirs now. Slight, maybe distant second might be the Bucks. But now we've seen all their deficiencies, so I don't think as much pressure because the expectations are lower. And Dame, it's his first year. Jaylen Brown, Tatum been together now for a number of years, so I think that's it's on them, and that's a blessing and a curse. Blessing and a curse.
So Milwaukee is 8 games behind Boston in the Eastern Conference. So I think we got 6 more weeks left in the regular season. Boston is on pace to win 60 plus, I think close to 65 games this year. So as of right now, there's no reason why they shouldn't be the representative in the Eastern Conference. There's no reason why they shouldn't do that, right? So with all of that being said, everything is predicated on them winning. That's why they brought Porzingis in. That's why they traded for Drew Holiday. That's why they got Derek White. The reason why they put this unit together is the exact same reason why the Clippers got Russell Westbrook, traded for James Harden, gave up the house for Paul George, signed Kawhi Leonard in free agency. They didn't get these guys, right? They didn't get these guys just so we can win a couple of games. No, we are serious about winning the NBA championship. Now, we all know what the Bucks did. We all know what the Bucks did in an effort to win it. They traded they traded defense for offense. And I think that there needs to be some retooling on that roster in order for them to get there again, because I don't think that they're there yet. But this Boston Celtics team, when you talk about the team that has the most pressure on them to win, it's them, because they've been there the most, right? They've been the representative of the Eastern Conference Championship for the last, 6 years they've been in the Eastern Conference Championship? They've been to the NBA Finals. They've been to the NBA Finals 2 years ago, right? With all of that being said, this crew that they have put together right now, this is the team that we have our best opportunity to win it. And if we don't win it this year, we have to ask ourselves, what exactly is it that we're doing wrong? Because we have everything that we need to do it.
Yeah, and you're right. So Milwaukee, the 6-game winning streak, Cleveland lost one, so Milwaukee's in second by 8 games. Cavs by 9 games. So they've got a lead of 8 and 9 games on the Bucks and the Cavs. So
they got to completely go to pieces, Tone, in order for them to not hold on to
2 games left. You got an 8-game lead, and you're good.
Right.
I mean,
500, right? They're fine.
Right.
Yeah, I think they'll stay the leader of the East.
Just think about it. If they go 500 down the stretch, so 11-11, that's 59 wins.
That's still good enough for the number 1 seed in the East.
Yeah, they're gonna win.
That's still good enough for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Still. Mm-hmm.
And I think you guys are both gonna agree on this, but dark horse of the East, I guess. Who's that team that's gonna come in, match up with the Celtics, and maybe could give them a run for their money? Do you have one in mind?
Before that injury happened, Tone, it was the Knicks. Before Julius Randle went down, before Julius Randle went down, before OG Anunoby, and we're gonna get this straight really quickly. Tone, one more time, can I say it with you? It's Anunoby.
Anunoby, yes, you got
it. Wait, what did you call it?
You were saying Anunoby.
No, that's not his name. That's not his name. His name is not an Anobi. No, it's Anunoby.
And I'm teaching someone how to say a name because I say everybody's wrong.
I'm like, I keep saying OG Anobi. I'm like, no, that's not his name.
Sounds like
Anunoby.
That sounds like a Star Wars Lord.
Right. Like, no, that's not his name. Right. Like one of my best friends. He calls Giannis. He calls Giannis Antetokounmpo. Reg, that's not his name. His name is not Antetokounmpo. No, that's not how you say his name.
Well,
no. That's not the
yeah, no, Jay, the Knicks
were your father.
Yes. So to answer your question, H,
it was the Knicks.
I was very much in favor of the Knicks because I felt like the way Jalen Brunson was playing, the fact that they added OG Anunoby to the roster, the D&3 guy that he is, this roster starts looking like a Tibbs roster. A bunch of grit, a bunch of dirty work, hard-working kind of guys, Josh Hart, Julius Randle being the bull in the china shop kind of power forward that you need in order to get to where you're going. It was just him needing to play better in order for them to get to that next level. And I felt like this postseason, he was going to do that. But I feel like this shoulder injury is a lot worse than what they told us. And I think he's probably going to have to get surgery on it. Whether he comes back or not, he's not going to be 100%. And I don't think he's going to be nearly as effective. So with that being said, the only dark horse that I can see, and I don't want to say this, but the reason why is because of history. It's the Miami Heat, man. It's the Miami Heat. It's the Miami Heat. Long as them dudes. I feel like Evan Mobley hasn't progressed offensively like I want him to.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten to where I feel like he should be. He should be a better scorer going downhill. He should be better in the mid post. Defensively, I already know who Evan Mobley is. I think he's going to be the best defensive player in the game. It's going to be him. Right? I think it's going to be him. I think it's going to be Wemby. And I think it's going to be not a sizable margin. I do think at some point he's going to pass up Bam, even though Bam is ahead of him right now. I feel like he's going to pass Bam. But offensively, he's not gotten to where I feel like he should be. I feel like he should be better as a scorer than what he is right now. I don't think he looks at the basket in the mid-range enough. I don't think he gets downhill with his weak hand as much. I don't think he plays in the mid-range as much as he could. And because of that, I think that Cleveland, offensively, as good as they are, they could be better, and they're not. And that's why I'm not on board with Cleveland being a finalist yet. I think their ceiling is Eastern Conference Championship.
Okay, so Miami, Boston.
Now I'm not gonna go on a rant here, but I just want to point out that the 9 and 10 teams in the East will have absolutely no business being in a play-in tournament. So get rid of this stupid shit. Okay?
Oh, get Chicago and Atlanta off my playoff list. Get them out, Tone.
So let me move on.
Get them out of here.
Okay,
because I can go on.
Not
for
even worth talking about. Yeah,
that is. They're going to be like a 35 win team. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Don't. But the one interesting thing about the play-in, if the NBA season were to end today and they started the play-in, this is what you don't want to happen if you are Milwaukee, if you are Boston. This is exactly what you don't want to happen. Is that Miami and Indiana play for that 7-8, and Indiana wins, and they become the 7th seed, because then the matchups are Milwaukee, Miami, which is the to the black horse
play out before.
Miami is the dark horse that can be there. They can beat Milwaukee again, and then you got Indiana. Sorry, excuse me. Let me rephrase. Miami can beat Boston. Excuse me. It's Miami, Boston, and Miami can beat Boston again. Excuse me. But then Indiana plays Milwaukee, and we know how much trouble Indiana gives Milwaukee, and you might have a 7 and 8 seed beating the 1-2 seed.
Can you imagine it if the 1-2 seed are both out?
Oh, that's all I want.
Can you imagine that, Tom?
But then we have another Denver, Miami, or Denver, Indiana, and nobody wants to see that.
Is that what we're doing? If we got the number 1 and the number 2 seed? And I'm going to flip this around on you, Tone. I think they want Miami, and I think they want them whenever. And the reason why I feel like they want them, the reason why I feel like they want Boston, I feel like they want them. And the reason why I feel like they want them is because we can dispel all of that nonsense about how much better they are than us. We can dispel all of that nonsense. This is exactly why we want them, because of that or part that you're talking about, Tone. Everybody think they tougher than us. They beat us last year in the playoffs. They beat us in Game 7. We were down 3-0 when we came back and we had an opportunity to beat them. We didn't. we're going to dispel all of the myths about us being soft.
Is Boston a tougher team this year?
I feel like they are. Yes, I do. I do feel like they are, Tone. Yeah, I do feel like they are. And the reason why I feel like they are is because of personnel. I feel like the rim protector that you have this year, in both Porzingis and Porzingis, I feel like he makes them tougher. I feel like Jrue Holiday, being the better defender and the better perimeter all-around player, I think that he makes them better. Even though Jimmy did what he did, I think that Jrue Holiday is looking for some get back. Like, yo, what you saw last year, that ain't me. And I'm on a different crew. And when you want a different team, Tone, in the words of Mr. Bobby Bird, man, walk taller when you're walking with James Brown. So when you're walking around with a better team, you stick your chest out a little bit more. Stick your chest out just a little bit more.
I feel they're a better team. I don't feel that they're a tougher team. And if they're not a tougher team, that means Miami is still the tougher team. And I see what you're saying. Hey, they knocked us off. You started punking us. You started talking to us that we're not tough enough. We want them to prove it. But it could also backfire. And they can prove that Miami is a tougher team. And they can prove that they can't handle what Miami brings to the table. And if they lose to them 2 years in a row, now the questions start to get answered in the negative.
Course.
In the negative.
I will mention that, Tone, when you said you don't feel like they're a tougher team. When they played Miami at home, in Miami, they proved it. So when I watched them get into a skirmish with Duncan Robinson and Jaylen Brown, in the past, they might have folded. In the past, they might have completely just withered and caved. But instead, they did not let Miami take them out of their game. They stood up to that, and they kept going. So I'm thinking to myself, that's a team of maturity right there, as opposed to same old Boston, young guys that won't stick their chest out, young guys that won't stand up to these guys in the end. When I saw that, that told me right there, maybe these guys are different. Maybe these guys do have the stuff in order, and I don't just mean from a basketball standpoint. At some point, Tone, you got to stand up and you got to stand firm. You have to do that. And I felt like they did that against Miami. Even though Jimmy Butler didn't play, I still feel like they did do that. And I feel like this team, I feel like they want Miami to dispel all of the nonsense.
Yeah, and I'm not
all of that up.
Disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing that they might want them, but they're, as you and I know, there's an old saying: be careful what you wish for,
because you might get it.
You might
find out that you don't want it, and it's too late because you can't give it back. So, yeah, Duke, I said Duncan Robinson. Does it matter who starts the fight in Miami? Because if it's not Jimmy Butler, if it's not, I don't know, Bam Adebayo, if it's not Terry Rozier, that doesn't mean it doesn't have any merit. Yes, it does, because it's the Miami Heat, and that's who they are. So what if it's whoever it is that's starting a skirmish or that's getting in those guys' face? What difference does it make? It's the Miami Heat, and that's what they represent. And if you don't stand up to that, you are the same Boston Celtics that we've seen in the past. The same ones. So I feel like I feel like they want that matchup to dispel. It's kind of like your Lakers, Tone, when they got smashed in '84 to the Celtics, because essentially they got pushed around. They wanted the Celtics that next year on the strength of
you always want. Absolutely, I agree. You always want that team. You always want that team, 100%. Like I said, I just don't have as much faith.
Of course,
because
of what you're saying.
Right?
Of course, because of what you've seen in the past. Absolutely, I understand that. I do understand that. I get it. That part I won't agree. I won't disagree with that. Nope, I won't disagree with that at all. So,
what's
all right.
Agenda, H? Can we talk about your nonsense?
Oh yeah, I guess we could address. I'm about to cook.
Jay, you are so lucky that you're not on the gram, as the kids would say.
It's a different side of me, Jay.
Because Miss H over here has been
cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Dipping into sauce a little bit with this one. Was this a joke? Just say it's a joke. And
yeah, it was a joke. Of course, it's a joke.
You can put it away then. You don't have to share.
No, let's bring it up. I'm proud of this. I made this. So I said Steph and Kuminga are greater than Magic, Kareem, Jordan and Pippen, and Shaq and Kobe.
Can you believe that? Let me make it so you can see it a little bit better. Here we go.
You know that H is the same one that said Brandon Ingram gonna be better than KD. I just want to make sure we remember that too. I mean, she froze up, but yeah, she's
yeah, of course she froze. I'd freeze up too if I
H is the same one that said that KD is Brandon Ingram's gonna be better than KD and at the end of his career. So yeah,
I just want to be clear. That is Steph and Kuminga are greater than, for those of you aren't that good at math, are greater than Magic Kareem, Jordan, Pippen, and Shaq and Kobe.
Pretty incredible. Yeah,
that's an impressive take.
Like I told you, I'm on Twitter, which I don't post anything on Twitter ever. I'm only on Twitter.
Follow Woj, right?
That's it. That's the only reason why I'm on Twitter, for that reason and that reason only. I don't follow anybody else. I do subscribe to NBA Central. I do that as well. But for the most part, I don't bother with anybody else but Woj. That's who I'm checking for when I'm on Twitter. I'm checking for Woj. I'm looking for Woj bombs, and what does Woj have today? Is there anything interesting going on? Because other than that, I can't subscribe to the Twitter world. Oh, I'm sorry, Tone, the X world, because it gets ugly. From what I understand, it gets ugly.
Yeah, they can be. I have it. I'm like you. I use it to follow and get updates and stuff. And because I can easily share a post that I have on IG on X, or like an upcoming show for my channel, like I flip them onto X, but I don't really, or Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it. But I'm like you, I don't, because I see the comments. I'm like, I'm not interacting with you. Like, I'm gonna post this stuff just to let people know that it's there. But no, they crazy up in there. But what I really wanted to talk about was this, and unfortunately Haley's gone, and she's controlling everything. I don't have access to pull this up, but what I really wanted to say, I knew that she was joking when she posted that. But the next thing that was on my feed after that was Draymond Green. And his quote was, "We implemented and he was referring to his defensive. We implemented our strategy like 15 minutes before we left the locker room." That was Draymond Green after the Warriors 52 point loss to the Celtics.
That also means, Tony, if they went on a 40-0 run, they still lost by double digits.
100%, they did. And my question is this: if you can, I just read it off the quote. Now that you're back, if you could share, we're talking about Draymond's quote about they just implemented their defensive strategy like 15 minutes before we left the locker room. Yep. Did they not just give Steve Kerr like this huge extension? And am I the only one who believes he might be the most overrated coach in NBA history?
I think you might be in the minority when you believe that. That's number one. Number two, Draymond saying that is evidence of what they think about the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
That's what it is more than anything. It's what they think about. As good as Boston is, in the end, they looked at Boston like the same old Boston Celtics. To say that a team that I think they got 3 losses at home this year, they got the best home record in the league, right? They got the best home record in the league. They got the best team in terms of a roster. They've been rolling this season. They've got a top 5 defense. They got a top 5 offense in the league this year. They got a 27-a-game guy on their team who's going to be first team All-NBA on All-Pro. And they decide 15 minutes before tip. And just so you know, Tone, 15 minutes before tip, we're on the floor. We're not in the locker room, right? It's not like we're in the locker room and we're still getting dressed. No, 15 minutes before tip, we're on the floor and we come together and we go, you know what? We're not going to guard Jaylen Brown on the perimeter. Who, by the way, if last I checked, both of you, UH and you, Tone, what's been the biggest knock on Jaylen Brown? What's been your biggest problem with him?
Can't go left.
Can't go left. That sounds like a ball handling issue. I've never heard none of y'all say anything about his mid-range game. I never heard you guys say anything about his long ball. At any point, did you tell me that he can't shoot the basketball? You can't knock down open shots. Never did I hear you guys say anything about that. What I did hear you guys say was, yo, he got to tighten up that handle. But what Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors game plan is we're going to leave him open. That's what we're going to do. We're going to leave him open. And how did that work? Not only did that not work, it's the kind of game the way that they lost, it's the kind of game that gets coaches fired and gets players traded. To get stomped by 50-plus points, to lose in that kind of fashion, to hold the Boston Celtics, to hold the Golden State Warriors to one shot, right? To hold them to 38 points at the half. I think that's the lowest in the history of their franchise. They couldn't do anything. The idea that Steph Curry was just missing shots. Steph Curry was not just missing shots. They did a great job chasing him off screens. They did a great job at crowding him. They did a great job at once he got off the basketball, not letting him get the ball back. They did a great job in all of that. And they did a great job of exposing the Golden State Warriors defense. To lose by 50, if we have a team, by the way, I'm sorry. Once again, Tone, for the people in the back who didn't hear you.
52.
Not 50, I'm sorry, 50 plus. To lose by 50 plus.
That is a half of basketball that the Warriors still have to play.
A whole half. To lose by that many points. And for it to just be just a drop in, we were bad. So now we lose by 50. This is the same Golden State Warrior team that's fighting for a playoff spot, which I told you, Tone, you were going to see this Golden State Warrior team with a favorable schedule. Everybody was going to go, they're doing great, but then they're going to run up on somebody like the Boston Celtics, who, by the way, what did Steph Curry say about them after the game? They are who?
He said they used to be us. That's what we used to be.
You know what that sound like? That sound like the old dude going, man, I used to be able to run that fast. Man, I used to be able to jump that high. I can't do that anymore. That's what that sound like to me. So it tells me that there's levels to this. And because there's levels to this, we are not on that level. We are not that good anymore. And because you're not that good anymore, what does that say about the Golden State Warriors? This is who they are.
Okay, I'll go. So to address that, I will say Porzingis was out, which is another come on, you guys lost this bad without Porzingis. Yeah. But I will say, Warriors, this is actually tomorrow's going to be their first game since early November that they've had their entire roster available to play. So I'll say that it was their 7th game in 10 days, and you've got an aging Steph Curry who has been carrying this season. So all that to say, to lose by such a deficit is disgusting. It was a disgrace. It was an embarrassment for not only Steph, but the whole franchise. And all I have to say is when you say this is who the Warriors are, that's what everybody's saying, Jay, but people have said that before. So let's just remember that and what happened last time. Second of all, I don't know if it's that much of a flex when Golden State is basically Washington Wizards this season because, they're bad. Golden State is bad. And third of all, Boston has to translate.
Washington. I'm not going to say Washington.
We're bad.
Washington might be the worst team in the league. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think the Lakers and the Warriors
is the worst team in the league.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's a level we have been playing at. I don't know how many Warriors games you guys have watched this season, but until the last month, this is the only streak that I've seen them be like, okay, I kind of recognize who you guys used to be. It's been that bad. And I just want to say, one game is great, fantastic. It made them look stupid, but are we going to see that translate into the postseason? I think that's something you can't really flex. That's kind of a Ja Morant thing, is to flex something and then not be able to accomplish what the end goal is. So I guess that's what I'll say. But overall, it was an ugly game. I watched it live too. I was so mad. Because no offense, zero offense was coming from a single soul on that team. I
just want to put it out there, H, that wasn't a fluke. Because just so you know, that wasn't the first time the Celtics won this season by 50. It wasn't the second time that they won by 50. The third. It's the most in NBA history that they won by 50.
That's great. We've honestly, I feel like we've talked enough about the Celtics. I really want to focus on the Warriors here for a second.
Okay.
Can we get on the Golden State Warriors, Tone? Can we discuss them?
First of all, I don't want to hear the excuses about 7 games and 10 nights. No, you're staying in 5-star hotels, flying on private jets. That's no
jets that are late and they have to be somewhere at 8 a.m. because the flight wasn't ready to go.
Don't start at 8.
I'm just saying, you guys want to disregard, you guys know you've played. You know what that's like when you're you haven't slept. You've played the most back-to-backs in a season.
And when we played, we had to take a bus. So and we were expected to play.
So, 3 hours on a delay, 4 hours on a
hotels and private jets. Okay, that's one. 2. I don't care. I don't care if it was Golden State's second stringers. You're professionals. You should not be losing by 50. Not to any team. But I do want to stick on this. I do want to stick on this 15 minutes before game strategy, because it's either Draymond lying, which 100% I would believe if he was lying, because that's what I think of him, or two, that's a coach that should be fired
on the spot, Tone. On the spot.
Which one is it? On the spot. Like, he shouldn't have made it to halftime.
Why is that a fireable offense? So one switch up.
Hey, we don't change the game plan 15 minutes into the game.
No coaches do that.
No,
we don't change the game plan 15 minutes.
I don't know. I'm just
especially considering like there's nobody out, there's nobody missing.
No time. Listen, if there's no time to make adjustments, you basically let's just do exactly what we did last game. Let's just keep that consistent, right? You cannot go out as everyone's in their layup lines and say, hey guys, you know what we're gonna do today? Every time Jaylen Brown gets the ball, just drop coverage, just let him shoot. Imagine a coach saying that to you. Imagine
I don't know what, like,
you're a fighter, right? Imagine your coach comes to you and goes, you know, this person's got really good hands, so like really be careful from their punches, but anytime they kick, just let them kick you in the head. Just don't worry about it. Let them kick you in the head.
Or H, as a fighter, this person is a power puncher. They're telling you, H, stand in the middle of the ring and throw blows with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's so
I would think that's like your perfect. Let me tell you guys, I watched this game. I saw the same bad lineups in for 10 minutes, and Steve Kerr made no adjustments. I'm with you.
He's a horrible coach.
I just think there's more going on.
He only wins when everybody's healthy and they've got a superior roster. That's all I've seen in every year that he's coached. I'm sorry, that's all I've seen. Now, there's something to be said about being a player's coach and people liking you and managing egos. But at some point, you got to do something when players are hurt or not playing well or in slumps or whatever the case may be. And I've just never seen him do it. And I've been saying this, I've been consistent. When they win, when they lose, I say the same thing. They didn't win because of Steve Kerr. I've never felt, Steve Kerr put in a great game plan there. Like, it's never been, he made a good move. I just never felt that about him. And it's these types of days, and in the seasons we saw, when they win 12 games because someone's hurt, that you're like, this guy isn't a very good coach. He just isn't. And so my question is this: is he a horrible coach that put a game plan in 15 minutes before, or is Draymond Green lying? And if he is, why? Why would he say that? Just as a cop out, as an excuse for losing the 52?
I think so. I think Draymond's the type of guy like that. That was such an embarrassment. You're gonna try to clean it up and like save your ego a little bit. Doesn't that seem like
blaming your coach? By blaming your coach?
No, you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that sounds like something Draymond might be trying to like. This is what
he didn't. He could have pulled a Doc. He could have pulled a Doc Rivers. Hey, it's been 7 games and 10 nights, and the flight came in late, and we just weren't ready for it. And
that would have been smarter, but I don't know.
Smarter, right? Like.
But they also are missing Wiggins. And I'm not saying Wiggins has been good, but that's your guy that you want when you're playing the Boston Celtics, because he just comes alive. He locked down Tatum, he embarrassed him, and they held Jaylen Brown. I mean, so Wiggins I don't know.
Ever coming back? Is he good
tomorrow? Yeah, he's okay. Yeah.
I feel bad for whatever's going on with him.
I think he's got an issue. I think his father isn't doing well.
I think that's
one of the main issues. I think his father isn't doing well, and I think
then I won't say anything about why his father's not doing well.
I think that's what's affecting him.
Do you know why his father was suspended indefinitely from the NBA? We won't talk about it, but you should look it up.
I know why. Yeah, his father had a drug problem.
Oh,
his father had a drug problem. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll mess it
up. That comes to hit you when you get older. Like, it's fun when you're young.
Boy, you think you're gonna be 25 forever. You think you're gonna feel like this forever. You're not.
Yeah. Even if you stop, when you get older, that's a son of a.
You feel it. Yeah.
You think you're gonna be 25 years old forever, man?
Experience. I'm just saying from what I heard.
Okay. Sounded like Draymond Green out here.
But to your question, Tone, to be honest with you, I don't think Draymond was lying. I don't. I think that I don't think that they run a tight ship over there in Golden State. I think that ship is very loose. I think that they delegate. I don't think that, one word is law. I think that I think that's largely due to how Steve Kerr was raised. He's raised around Phil Jackson. And he was raised around Phil Jackson, being raised around Phil Jackson. Phil ain't really run a tight ship. This is what time to plane leave. This is time to bus leave. This is time practices. That's him. That's simple.
But Phil, the difference is Phil didn't have to be the lieutenant, the general. He wasn't even the X and O guy. Like he had a guy to do the X's and O's, and he had a team that was led by the most competitive person we've probably ever seen, who was like, he'll keep them in order. Right. There was always someone there, like whether it was when he first got there, I want to say it was Oakley, and then it eventually became Jordan. But he had that, texted the X and O's. Our players manage themselves. I'm just going to, burn incense and give everybody sage to make sure that gets rid of all their bad juju. And it worked. I don't think Steve Kerr has that X's and O guy. And I don't think he has a vocal leader who's sane, because he has a vocal leader in Green, but he's insane. He doesn't have a sane vocal leader to keep everybody like, hey, we need to do this. We need to do, you know what I mean? They don't have a guy that's going to fly to Vegas and, pull the guy away from Carmen Electra and be like, hey, we got to go play a game. Right? He has a guy that would go over there and jump in the bed with them. So it's just, is
there a guy like that in the league today, though? I don't think any team has a guy like that. I think things have changed.
Haslam is probably a guy like that. That's why they're retiring his number, only because of that. There's probably one or two that we don't know.
Guys like that. I think Al Horford is like that. I think Al Horford.
Yeah, I think they're quieter guys. They're not superstars anymore. They're not the superstar guys.
Yeah.
I would say that LeBron to a lesser extent, maybe, but I think LeBron he does it in a more passive aggressive way, like he might tweet about you guys, but I'm told not to.
Mention it in like a heated post-game interview.
LeBron James is not coming to knock on your door at your apartment like, yo, my man, let's go, we got practice.
He will tweet and say, certain guys on certain teams aren't showing up for practice. That's unprofessional.
You know what I mean? He does do that.
Yeah. And you'll be like scrolling through and be like, oh man, okay, I gotta go practice. Sorry.
I think we're discrediting Dre. I think Draymond is. I do think he's a better leader than we want to give credit. But then of course it's all questioned when he has his moments where you literally don't care about anyone but yourself. So I hear that. I just think that it's hard to know. That's a great question. I don't know what really happened. I think either scenario is possible, but I think either way, that's who in their right mind makes that decision with that's just giving Jaylen Brown an open door, and he took it. So I don't get that much space in men's leagues. They like give me that kind
wide
of
open.
Like you can do that with Westbrook, but Jaylen Brown, what are you? I don't know. I don't know.
We've seen it on Westbrook. We've seen it on Sabonis. Like Jaylen Brown. Like, come on, man. Like that's crazy. I just thought that was crazy.
In terms of a leadership, bro. I mean, we already know who Draymond is. Draymond is the functioning alcoholic in the house. Like the bills get paid. There's food in the refrigerator. The car has gas in it. The kids have school clothes. But every once in a while, Tony, you'll come home and there's a big hole in the wall in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you might just get slapped up side your head for no reason.
Right. There's a huge hole in the wall in the bathroom. You're like,
Mr. Poole.
Yeah, like what the hell's going on? Like how did this hole get here? Right.
That's our Warriors family. It's just dysfunctional.
Right. And that's what it is. But again, all the bills are paid, car got gas in it, kids got school clothes, the refrigerator is full of food, everything's good. But this is the kind of nonsense that you got to put up with from time to time when you're dealing with this kind of
I'm cool with that as long as he patches up the wall when he's done.
Yeah. He's trying to. But the thing is, we have Clay, Draymond, and Steph. They're all aging, and I think they're all in their own little journey of what that aging process looks like. We've got Clay, who's really struggling, been coming off the bench. He doesn't even know where he's headed. People think he's getting traded, and that's a possibility. Then we got Draymond, anger issues. He's still playing pretty well, and then we've got Steph, who's still, I think, at the very tail end, but he's still in a peak. He still has these moments that are just incredible. And so it's kind of like, where did these three go, and how do they, I don't know. And the Warriors we're the one team that the Warriors have made zero moves at the trade deadline, and then in the buyout market, we're just kind of stagnant. And it's
so H, where are we with this Warriors unit? Because again, exactly what I thought was going to happen. So Clay gets relegated to the bench, and he is fantastic as a rotation player.
Yeah.
But good old Steve Kerr, what does he do?
Brings him off.
Immediately takes him off the bench and puts him back in the starting lineup.
I know.
When he was doing really well What's the plan moving forward with this Golden State Warriors team, H? Like, what's the ceiling for this crew? Now, I know how you feel about Steph, Clay, and Dre, and it's hard not to think that simply off the strength that they still on the crew. And as long as they're on the crew, there's no reason to think that we don't have a shot. But realistic, H, in your estimation, what's the ceiling for this Warriors team?
This season, I think we could, if there's a play-in position, I think we could push it to the first round. I think pretty much what we saw last season, we could maybe be out a first, I don't know. If we're playing 8 or 7 seed and we have to face Denver, that's an obvious no. So I'd say play in, possibly a first round exit. But if you go out and you actually make a switch, and that might take trading Clay, and that might take some really uncomfortable moves, but you go and get a second option that's consistent. I think that you can still have a run, especially with Kuminga, Moody in their 4th year. You're playing Trace. I think there's things that can happen. But when you're not even playing Looney, when Steve Kerr's unwilling to just say, I'm sorry, Clay, you have to come off the bench. Like, F your ego here. We have to do this for the betterment of the team. Like, no, like you both said, nobody really is taking a stance, and that's not, you need a coach. You don't need a friend, I think. So
if the season ended today, H, you got to play the Lakers in the play-in tournament, and you're the 10 seed. The Lakers are the 9 seed. Are you in or are you out?
Well, I'm in. I'm in, of course, but
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about, is the season over or are you advancing?
No.
The Lakers are trash. They're below us, so I don't know.
Actually,
the size matchups, we've been here before.
Actually,
the Lakers are ahead of you. We are ahead of you, so you'd be coming to LA. But more importantly, even if by miracle they won that game, then they still have to beat Dallas or Sacramento. And so the worst. No, the worst. No,
you guys, you're taking this last game like the Warriors have.
No. The worst thing.
You lost by 50.
Yeah, but that's one game.
Let's not discount that. Okay.
Of the last month.
When is the last time the Warriors, the Warriors as a unit? Let's take Steph, Clay, and Dre off the table. When's the last time the Warriors as a unit lost a game by 50? When was the last time that happened, H? I can't remember the last time you lost by 50.
When was the last time you string together 3 of their losses that they lost by 50 total in 3 games?
They didn't lose by 50 in 3 games.
Exactly.
Total, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, 3 games.
If you put 3 games, together,
probably doesn't act people. But I don't care about the 50. I don't care about the 50. I'm just saying this.
Have you guys watched Golden State games over the last month? Which games?
Yes, all of them.
I watched you against Utah.
Fluent Jr. and I watch all of them.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do.
But so, which games
I think, just let me quickly say, the worst thing that's going to happen to the Warriors is that Utah can't catch them. And they're going to be stuck in the play-in because
Lakers were just 10 seed. Like, I don't know why we're speaking highly of LA when they have been.
I'm not speaking highly of LA either. I don't.
Okay.
Right now, I don't know if the Lakers make it in. Their only shot is because of the play-in. They shouldn't be in. They shouldn't.
You believe you're not going to switch up?
I don't believe Golden State beats right now the Lakers and then Dallas or Sacramento to make it into the playoffs so that they could lose in the first round to Minnesota or OKC. I don't see it happening. But even if it does, well, okay, then they're an out in the first round, and you agree they need to retool, and that's why I said the worst thing that can happen to them is that Utah doesn't catch them, because if Utah catches them and now they're in the lottery again and they can now get do something, they got to move on. I love that they're loyal, but it's time to move on. It's either Curry's last dance and you retool everybody around him, or you let him go. And
I think he should, but he won't. I know he won't.
I don't think they will.
They won't.
Hey, what if I told you that the 6-game losing streak you had during the season, it didn't total 50 points?
There you go.
The 6-game losing streak you had.
I know it's bad. I get it, but it's like one game.
Losses.
Wow.
One game. It's one game. I don't know. And that just, if you actually watch the last month, this was the first, and we haven't had a fully healthy team in months. So I don't know. I think it's
what's healthy though, because just so we clear, Steph turns, I think, 36 on the 25th of this month, if I'm not mistaken. He turns 36 on the 25th of this month. Clay, we already know where Clay is. Draymond is, I think, 33, 34. What's healthy for the Golden State Warriors in terms of your core? Steph, Clay, Dre. What's healthy for these guys?
I think mentally healthy for Wiggins is big, and then I think a Looney that he's been a shell of himself. So I think you have that core. I think then you bring Kuminga off the bench, Gary Payton off the bench. Like we have a lot of good guys. It's just we had Draymond out for weeks. Like I just don't think people think about like everything Golden State has like been through over the last 2 years. But it could be that quick decline, and that's what it is. But I'm just saying, if Boston loses, I'm gonna troll the hell out of the Celtics because I'm so tired of like
absolutely,
because one game,
and you should. And
like you're flexing on one game, but I will be honest. Yeah, I think Warriors are first round exits, depending on the matchup, and I think Lakers are too.
And you should, H. And the reason why you should is because of who the Boston Celtics are. Yeah. However, to lose in that kind of fashion, you have to expect that, H. You have to, because I can tell you right now, if your boys would have went into Boston and smoked them by 25, H would have had a smile. We wouldn't have, there's no way H would have got off that.
It'd be going to the final.
Man.
Right.
Yeah, that would be my narrative.
That would have been what it was. You got the Warriors to go to the NBA Finals. The Celtics are fraud. You see who they are. Jay, don't talk to me no more about Jayson Tatum. I don't want to hear it. I'm not listening to no more logic from you. But the fact that they got smoked like they should have, I don't know what
game you guys are talking about. It's in one ear and out the other for me. Okay, Melo. Bucks looking really good after the All-Star break. Yeah, I think there's 6 wins, right?
6 straight wins.
Yeah, 6 straight. I thought we were going to talk about Melo. He's lost his damn mind lately. Okay, no, okay. Melo.
Six straight wins, and in the process of winning 6 straight wins, the defense has improved. Defense has improved a lot. The effort has improved more than anything. I think Doc Rivers, which I can't believe I'm saying this, but Doc Rivers is actually getting the most out of Damian Lillard defensively. Like Damian Lillard is actually giving effort. He's switching.
I heard what he told him.
What did he tell him?
He told him, if you don't start playing harder, we're going to bring back Adrian Griffin. He was like, hell no.
No. He's not switching as much. Not only is he not switching as much, he's actually using defensive principles. I watched him against the Clippers. He's not overextending on closeouts. He's actually staying in front of guys that switching 1s and 5s. He still does that from time to time. I think Pat Beverley's energy really helped the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I can tell you guys right now, it may look good because they do have a favorable schedule also coming into this last 28 games of the season, but I'm not on the Milwaukee Bucks train. No, I'm not, because we all know, Tone, what matchups are. We all know that when you, we all know that when you, as a team, if you can avoid certain teams,
of course,
that's really good. That's great for you, right? That is great for you when you can avoid certain teams. So, and drink more water. That is not true that they never switch 1 through 5. How many times did I watch Damian Lillard switched on? How many times have I watched Damian Lillard switched on to the big fella from Indiana? How many times have I watched Brook Lopez switched on to Tyrese Halliburton? Yes, they were switching 1s and 5s. Don't tell me that they weren't, because I was watching them. Yes, the hell they were. That's not true, sir. And the idea that they have the hardest schedule, no, they don't. No, they do not. They had one of the hardest schedules before the season started. I mean, I'm sorry, in the beginning of the season. They don't have that now. It's not true. So anyway, Tone, as I was saying, I like what I'm seeing. I do like what I'm seeing from the Milwaukee Bucks as of right now. I do like what I'm saying. I like the effort on defense more than anything. I like the effort, what I'm seeing more than anything. Now, remember who we talking about, Tone? We talking about Doc Rivers, and you know what Doc Rivers' track record is.
And that's why I have no faith in them.
Yeah, because it's a curse. We already know how this thing ends.
Doc Rivers is the Julius Randle of coaching. You're going to really like him in the regular season. You're not going to like him so much in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's all I've seen. That's all I've seen.
What I do know for a fact is that I know that if you watch the Bucks, there's no way you watching Brook Lopez play drop coverage, drink water. Because if you think that he's playing drop coverage and he's not switched on to Tyrese Halliburton, you ain't watching the Bucks and you don't understand what switching is. I actually know what switching is. Switching is when you actually are covering a guy. And I'm watching Brook Lopez switch onto Tyrese Halliburton. I'm watching Brook Lopez switch onto Scoot Henderson. That's going on. I'm watching that. I'm watching him switch onto Colin Sexton. I'm watching that. That's going on. There's a reason why they was falling 27 in a hole, 25 in a hole, because that was going on. I'm watching him switch onto Jalen Brunson. That was going on. I'm not going crazy. I do watch basketball and I do pay attention. So the idea that he was just playing drop coverage, you don't switch onto somebody and you're not switching onto somebody playing drop coverage. You're just dropping. No, that's not what Brook Lopez was doing. That's not what he was doing at all. So I'm good.
Man.
Okay. So this is a conversation and it's kind of a nasty take. And I know across PC, and we're no better. Okay. There's a lot of KD.
I'm just shaking my head because the Raptors cut the Pelicans lead to 35, but keep going.
Wait, what's the
score?
You're coming back. Cut it to 35.
Here we go. I'm saying it. I'm sorry, H, as you were saying.
No, I was just gonna say we have a problem when it comes to Kevin Durant. There's quite a lot of KD hate that's spread around, and some of it's I think some of it's valid.
No.
We're bad, Fluent. You got to admit it. You're not going to step out of your bias, but we are bad.
That's not biased. We're realistic about KD, and Dell is completely unrealistic.
Okay, yeah, Dell is.
That's BC.
But that's because they're friends.
So be clear, H. Yeah. So be clear.
That's BC in a nutshell. Everybody else is real about him, and one guy's insane. He's top 3 all time. He's top 3 all time, and Bird is 186. Like, get out of here, dude. Like, stop.
Okay. Let's see how nasty this gets then, because. Oh man, this might be bad, but there's a conversation going on as to who is better all time, Kevin Durant or Nikola Jokic. Now, I want to break this down completely unbiased. I don't even know if this should be a conversation as of right now, but if so, who are you guys taking? We'll start with you, Fluent.
In real terms, it's too early to have that conversation. But based on Jokic's trajectory, he is going to finish his career as the better player because he is a better. Listen, he can't score like Kevin Durant, but he can still, like, in all the different ways, but he can still score at the same level. He's not as athletic, but he's but he's a significantly better playmaker. He's a significantly better rebounder. So as an all-around player, and if we look at, again, when it's all said and done, we're going to look at awards and accolades. Jokic is going to have more. We're going to look at championships, and I believe Jokic will have more, if not this. Yeah, I think he wins more than 2. And when we look at how he won those, well, he won it with his second best player being Jamal Murray, and KD won it with, you question who was the best player, him or Steph, and Clay and Dre and. So at the, again, too early to tell. If their careers ended today, you're saying KD probably. But again, after the dust settled, this is why I don't like doing active players. So I'll only say based on their trajectories, I think Jokic is going to end up with the better career.
Yeah, I think that's a much better question, is at the end of their careers, who's going to be better, KD or Jokic? Sorry, Jake, go ahead.
I do think it's a little early right now, but I mean, if H, you just brought it up, if we're being nasty, I mean, KD only, for these last 4 years, right, because he's been breaking down, with the exception of this year, these last 4 years, I believe he's averaging 47 games. Or something like that, like 47 games. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 34 games is what he's averaging. With that being said, he had an 11-year stretch where he missed 20. He only played 2. He missed 2/3 of the season in those 11 years. And in those 11 years, how many of those 11 years, when we start from 2007, Tone, when he showed up until the 18-19 season, right? Until the 18-19 season. How many of those seasons would you say were elite seasons, Tone? Was every last one of them elite in those 11 years?
KD?
Yes. Was every last one of those 11 years elite from the minute he showed up? So 07, 08, when he's in Seattle as a rook, was that an elite season? I'm going to say no.
No.
How about, hello, dear. How are you?
Hello, little Miss Fluent. How are you?
Hello, dear. How are you?
I was showing everybody all your medals from dance.
You're gonna embarrass us, Tone.
Yeah.
See how face getting red. What are you doing, Tone?
She's like, I'm out.
No,
You're gonna embarrass us.
Go to bed. Just go to bed.
Go to bed.
Okay, so first rookie year, not elite.
So he wasn't elite. So how about the 08-09 season when they moved to Oklahoma City? Is he elite that season? That's the year that they get. That's the year that they get Russ, right? They get. No. They. I think they get Russ. Okay, so how about 9-10?
I think 9-10.
Where he starts entering. Yeah.
Okay, so from 9-10 until let's say what 18-19. So that's what 8 years.
Yeah.
9. Yeah, so that's 8 years. Okay, so 8-9 years. So now we have Joker, who's been in the league since 15. So Joker's been in the league 9 years. Of the 9 years that Joker's been in the league, how many of those seasons has been elite? I'm gonna say probably 5.
I was gonna say 5.
I'll say 5. So KD has had in 11 years, and again, he started breaking down these last 4 years. This season, he's actually been really good, right? He's still been really good this season, but over the last 4 years, he's been breaking down. Those 11 seasons, I'll give you 9 of them where he was elite. So 9 elite seasons to 5 elite seasons.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm gonna have to go with KD right now. But the trajectory that Joker's on, I think he's gonna win the league MVP this season. Even though I had Tatum before the season started, I think he's gonna win the league MVP this season. I think that they're the team to beat in the West. I think that they're gonna retool that roster. I don't think he's done winning championships yet. I do think that he's gonna not have another opportunity to win again. And the gravity of his championships may be more than others. Off the strength of where he is and how he did it, it might be more. So if he stays in Denver and wins another one and wins another Finals MVP, I think we'll be having a different conversation about him. I don't think that the gap between him and KD, I don't think it's that significant, but I do think there's a gap.
And I will say KD has had significantly better talent around him from day one.
Not close. It's not close.
From day one. And
he's been on the super team everywhere he's gone.
That plays into it. Well, I don't believe in super teams, so I won't say that. But he has always had
stacked roster,
significant talent around him, and that's a little bit why it's tough to gauge, because talent makes it easy. The expectations are higher, but it also makes it easier for you to do things. Like if you look at his first year when he joined the Warriors, I believe correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure everybody does. I think Steph was doubled more than any other player in the league that year. Well, the kid doubled both of them. So if Steph's gotten doubled more than any other player, guess who's reaping the benefits? Oh, it'd be AD. Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's those types of things that it makes it hard to really gauge where he is. Don't get me wrong. He's always been an elite scorer. It's just my issue with Durant has always been, what else does he do at an elite level? And I struggle to answer that question.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like you both said, it's not really a comparison. It's already kind of a weird conversation to have this early because Jokic has so much left to do, and KD could still win another chip. It seems very unlikely, but there's always a possibility. And will the narratives around him begin to change?
Next year when he joins the Lakers with LeBron and KD, he has a shot.
At that point, it's like, bro, just retire. But
people do it. Listen, I get it why they try to do it, and typically it's guys that have been retired for 30 years and a guy who's been in the league for 4, and they're like, is Luka already better than Bird? And it's like, how do you make that? So when you're doing it to guys that are both still playing, it's like, how are you comparing guy in year whatever, what's Luka in now, 7? Not Luka, Jokic. What's he in year 7?
8.
9.
No, 9. 9. Yeah, 9.
And KD's in year
17. Yep, year 17.
Right, like almost double the amount of time. Like,
that's
it's so like you can compare skill, you can compare talent, and people are doing peak. Okay, well, sure, but like if you're wanting, again, the question was careers. You got to wait till they're over. You got to look. Damn, KD's year 18. Damn,
17.
17, man.
Yeah, he showed up in 2007.
If it wasn't for that massive bald spot on the back of his head, I'd have no clue.
Yeah, he's still insane. All right, you guys in the chat, if you want to come up and ask about a specific team, I'm going to send the link in the chat. Just have your cameras on, at least so I can see you, and then you can turn it off. Question, though, that this kind of brought to mind. What period of a player's, let's say it's a player that's played a superstar, a player that's played, for a long period of time, which period is the most difficult, do you think, for a player? The first 4 years where they're coming into the league, they're trying to find their way, they're getting introduced from maybe college or high school and transitioning, new coaches, a whole new level. The middle period, their peak, where you have way more expectations on your shoulders, but obviously you're in your best shape and the best health of your life. Or the final period where you've had your career, people have had these expectations, you're kind of falling off, trying to find, okay, where do I go as I'm getting closer to retirement? Which period do you think is the most difficult?
I definitely think it's the third one that you said, H, because it's coming to an end. Like when I first show up in the league, I don't know who I am, but I feel like I got all the time in the world. I'm going to be this strong forever. When I get to the middle, I'm probably at the peak of my power. Most of the guys that you talk to, James, Jordan, Jabbar, all of the great ones, they'll tell you around the middle of it. That's when I was at the peak of my power, when I felt like I was at my strongest. When I'm at the last part of it, now I got to transition to doing something else, because for the last 15 years, the last 13 years, this is all I've been doing. Matter of fact, not only is this all I've been doing for the last 13 years, this is all I've been doing since like the third grade. So now I got to go find something else to do. And now my basketball career is coming to an end. So now I got to transition from being a basketball player to being something else. My game is falling off. I'm not as fast as I used to be. I don't jump as high. I don't run as fast. So because of that, I can struggle a lot more, not just on the court, but off the court, because now I got to transition into civilian life as opposed to a guy that's just starting out where I'm this bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and the guy that's in the middle where I'm at the peak of my power.
I will agree with that it's the last part, but I would add on and say it's also because very few players, and it's hard, very few players know when to quit.
Yeah.
Most of them play a year or two too long. Most of them, like we've been seeing, retire, and it's like the league already retired you years ago, buddy. Like, you're announcing your retirement. Yeah, you haven't been signed to a team for 3 years. You like, is it just to collect the retirement checks? That's why you're announcing your retirement, because you haven't been in the league, right? Like we always see players, Jordan coming back with the Wizards, Ewing playing in Orlando, Sean Kemp after he surpassed 300 pounds. Like there's stories over and over and over and over again of players just like, you played a year too long. Like it's just, and so that's the hardest part, because as an older guy playing, your head still thinks you can do what you did, but your body knows, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
Really hard to deal with, especially like that's regular guys, especially when you were at an elite level. That is a hard pill to swallow. And that's why I think, we don't talk about the mental aspect of it enough, but that mental piece is why so many of them you see after they retire. There's a reason, plus 70+% are bankrupt after 3 years after retirement. Why we see so many like ones that have drug, alcohol issues, whatever, why we see so many of them struggle with mental health. It's because I was a god, right? And now you knock me off Mount Olympus and you want me walking the streets, and you took away my powers, you son of a, you know what I mean? Like that's hard on your, just your mental, forget everything else. Then you add in the aches, the pains, right? Basketball. Look at every older, especially tall basketball player. Like, not to say that 6 foot guys not, but look at like Phil Jackson. Those guys. Look how they walk. Bill Walton. They're in pain all the time.
Right.
It's just being a 7-footer and not playing sports. By the time you hit 50, your knees are shot. I'm gonna have him on. You know what? I'm gonna have him come on the show next week, or maybe the week after. I'm not sure when. I gotta ask him. But like Paul McKeskey, I told you he does like a show on my channel. He is a 7-foot, center. Played for the Bucks for a long time, and And I talked to him. I was like, "Do you still ever get?" And I want to say he's in his 50s now. Could you ever still get out and play? Like, it'd be good to get out and shoot around with you. He's can't do it.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
yeah.
Not that I don't want to do it.
Break a hip.
Yeah. Well, we know. Remember when we had Shaq on the show, and he's like, he had his hip replacement. I said, "Hey, you should come. I can set up a one-on-one with you and Drake at his house." And he's like, "I can't play anymore." And it's just like that. That doesn't just stop you from playing. The reason you can't play is there's also pain involved. And so like football players, of course, as well. So I think that later part is you're dealing with so many mental and physical kind of pains and issues that it's the toughest.
Quick side note, the Boston Celtics was up by 17 in the fourth quarter. They're down by 4 with 2 minutes left against Cleveland. Cleveland went on the 23-4 run.
That's their kryptonite.
Cleveland went on the 23-4 run. That's why I put that out there.
Yep, I'm just saying they're not all that. No, I'm just kidding. Cleveland's a tough matchup for anybody.
I just want to put that out there. And no doubt, Donovan Mitchell ain't playing tonight. Not by the way,
Pelicans have increased their lead to 43 on the Raptors.
Oh, are they going to beat our record this week?
We're going to forget this. We're going to forget the Warriors. In a
no, we're not. No, we will not. No, I will make sure of that. No, we will not. No, we won't. But yeah, man. When you're talking about teams that, or you're talking about players that have a difficult time transitioning. When the amount of guys that I know who have played for a long time, and the first thing they'll tell me is, "Man, I miss it," and they wish that they could still play, but I can't anymore. I can't play anymore. And Charles Barkley said it best: "We don't retire because we don't retire because we have to. We retire because we can't play anymore." That's why. Yeah. So, and
but
he's right.
It's so funny too. A lot of them obviously miss playing, but a lot of them also they really miss the camaraderie and the guys. Right. And that's the other thing, right? Like,
I even miss that, like from team sport. Like it.
Yeah, you might not open up. You might not open up about your feelings, but having that support system always around is comforting. Yeah. And then when it's not there, it's different. It's different.
It feels empty a little bit. Yeah, it is strange, like the transition from like, I'm sure even like high school to college, or college to just not playing if you don't go pro. It's very strange when you've done it since you were a little like a tiny child. Yes. That's all you've known. It's weird. Like even working out now is strange. Like I'm sure I could get involved in something, but it's just not the same versus like working out in a gym with loud music and everybody like pushing you to keep, it's just like it's such a different landscape. So I just 100%. Thought about that, like what period is the most uncomfortable, I guess, for players. But it's kind of like aging. Like obviously the older you get, it's like, oh well, I don't have the same amount of time or your body's not in the same shape. So that makes sense.
Shaq used to tell me all the time about how I'm so over this basketball. I'm ready to retire. I'm so over it. And then years later, it was like, man, I wish I could still play. Yeah, I wish I could still play.
The grass is always greener. Yeah.
I used to tell him, I'm like, Big, you're gonna miss it when it's gone, when it's over. Because one of the things that he would tell me is that's what you said, H. What they miss the most. I miss the plane rides. I miss the bus rides. I miss being around the fellas. I miss practice, right? I miss going to get food and stuff like that. Because that stuff, once it's gone, that's it. There is nothing else, right?
Yeah. There was nothing more fun. There was nothing more fun than the team all going to like an all-you-can-eat buffet and seeing who could finish the most plates. Like
right. Or me calling up
memories,
Tone. Me calling up Tone on a Thursday night. Tone is in the dorm. Hey, Tone, I got a couple of bucks. Let's go get some McDonald's. And
let's go bowling. Like, come on.
Let's go hang out, right? And we would do that. That's part of being on the crew, right? That's part of being on the crew. And guys miss that. Hell yeah, they miss that, man. 100% they do. So I think that's probably the most. I think that's the most difficult part. I think that transition from the last couple of years you in the league to, and some guys, I'm convinced, they're ready to go. Some guys are ready to go, but then there are a lot of guys who, like you said, Tone, there are some guys who are ready to go, but then, like you said, Tone, there's some guys who stick around longer than they should have. Right? There's guys who stick around longer than, and there's a part of me that wonders why, because it's clearly not for the money. You played 14 years, you got plenty of dough. What are you still doing here? James is a prime example of that. Like, James, why are you still here, B? What are you still doing? You have nothing
to prove, yeah.
But
what are you still doing?
If you have an opportunity to play, though, Even like honestly, and someone's gonna pay you to do it. Even if they didn't pay me, like I see like there's like I'm not gonna knock a player for staying too long because they have that love of the game. Because we've seen now, especially guys who are good, like really good, but they don't have the love for the game, and they're getting paid, but we see them like we've said. Oh, I question if he really loves basketball.
Yeah,
I hate that. I hate that. I'd rather be like, you know what? He's done. He's washed. He can't play anymore. But man, he loves this game. Like they never want to leave. So I'd rather be the one, the latter than the former.
Yeah.
I just
me too.
I can't stand that. I don't think he even wants to play. They're just he's just good. He just woke up one day.
Yeah, who cares if like the media critiques your 2 bad seasons? Like, who cares if you love the game and you can't quite let go? That's your prerogative to choose. So
the media,
we do not care.
That's right, we do not.
Yeah, we are the media, but we aren't the media at the same time. So
Jayson Tatum just got fouled on a buzzer beater.
No,
he's going to the stripe with 0.7 seconds on the clock.
Oh, of course he did.
The official loss by the Raptors was 41 points.
Oh, that's not a foul. That is so not a foul. That is not.
They gave it to him. They babied him
not
as
a
usual.
Foul.
Yeah,
it's not a foul, yo.
Seen this story. All right. No, go ahead, Jay.
Not a foul. That's not. No way is that a foul.
Real. Keeping it
that's
real.
Not a foul.
All right, our last topic of the day, unless you guys have any. Or Fluent, did you have something?
You know what? Play this video real quick. It's the one. It's the video.
One on the bottom.
Yeah.
All right.
Right there. Yeah.
That was Luka.
Yeah, it was.
That's Luka.
Junior.
Right there.
He might be leaving the Warriors.
All right.
That wasn't a foul, boo. That was not a foul.
He always. I don't even know. Okay. No, that was dope. Did you get to shoot around on the court?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Well, I showed you that we played. No, we played full. We did everything. We had a great time. I will. I'm gonna save this for tomorrow when I do we 6 degrees north. But just pull it up really quickly. Jay, did you see this? The Raptors, Scotty Barnes was injured, right? He's having surgery. Did you know that he was first in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks for the Raptors this season? You want to know why they lost? You want to know why they lost by 41?
Because he was not in the lineup tonight. That's why.
That's everything.
They're literally going to have more games like that down the stretch. So, Raptors fans,
that's probably why, because he wasn't in the lineup. Their best player who does everything for them.
Who does everything? Yeah, you're
so, that's probably why. I do understand. I get it.
What's our last topic?
Our last topic is, I don't know if you guys saw this floating around, but Trae Young had an interview, and essentially he said he'd like to stay in Atlanta, and he basically said, players are getting more and more out of their comfort zone and just saying things as it is because they know the media is going to kind of like tweak what they say anyway. But he's like, you heard it here from the source. I want to stay in Atlanta. It's just a matter of, does Atlanta want me? That type of thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys see, because we were talking about teams that shouldn't even be in the conversation. Let's just not even mention them. And Atlanta was right there, right? You said 10 or 11 Fluent.
Do you say Atlanta weird?
Do I say it weird? I think I don't pronounce the T. I don't say Atlanta. I say Atlanta.
Atlanta. That's what it is, right?
Atlanta. I think it's American twang. I don't know. I don't know. I don't pronounce.
Keep going.
Atlanta. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think Atlanta is as bought in on Trae Young as they were? I don't even know at the beginning of the season, because this team isn't going anywhere. They've made a coach switch up. They went out and got DeJounte Murray. Trae's not a bad player. He's a fantastic player, but this thing is just the ship is sinking and it's getting worse by season. So is that a Trae Young problem? Is that an entire franchise where you kind of gut it and trade DeJounte and Trae? Like, what do you do if you're Atlanta next season?
The Atlanta Hawks did the same thing that the Trailblazers did in 2019, where they peaked in 2021, where they went to the Eastern Conference Championship and they didn't do anything to improve that roster. They didn't. They basically ran it back, and with them running it back, the rest of the Eastern Conference improved. And we saw now who right? We saw now who the Atlanta Hawks are, and we saw what they were dealing with. We saw who Trae Young was. We saw the best of him at that. Not necessarily the best of him, but we saw a lot of who he was, and we saw a lot of who the Atlanta Hawks were. In the process of us doing that, I think that we've now seen who they are, and it's just going the other way. It just is. It's going the other way. And I'm so sick of you dudes in the chat. Tatum is not that guy. And if they would have won by 17, which they were up, Tatum is – I wouldn't have heard that from you dudes. You dudes is a bunch of front runners. I'm so sick of y'all. Y'all make me sick, man. I swear. Y'all dudes is – y'all
Don't
so
let him
quick.
get to you, Jay.
The reason why it's corny, H, here's why it's corny, H.
I know.
The reason why it's corny, H, is because it's 1 minute, it's crickets, right? And I've never seen anybody since I've been around, with the exception of James, right? Since James, I've never seen anybody. I've never seen people want somebody to fail as much as people want Jayson Tatum to fail. Never seen that.
It's just you because they know it hurts you. They know it's a sore spot for you, so they're gonna keep pouring salt in the wound.
Stupid. And dudes like this dude James B, I swear, if I ever saw this dude in real life, I would knock this dude out.
But I disagree.
I'm not lying.
Just have your camera on really quick so I can see.
If I saw this dude in real life, I swear I would knock him out. And I don't care that he's 17 years old.
I disagree. I just want to say, I don't think that people want to see Tatum fail.
They do, Tone.
No, I don't think they do. What I think is so many people.
You clown. If I saw you in real life, I would knock you out.
I don't feel like people want to see him fail. I think what has happened is so many people, I think, anointed him too early.
Yeah,
right.
It was the media.
Remember the whole he learned under Kobe and he was gonna have this the Kobe mentality, and he does not. And I think because so many people put that on him, no one does. But I think people put that on him early, and now people are saying he's not that guy. In not that he's not that guy as much as he's not that guy that you all said he was going to be.
It's not even claim. It's not Tatum claimed that. It was other people claimed it for him.
He didn't. Yeah, not for me. It wasn't him.
It's not Tatum. It's the pedestal people have put Tatum on.
Well, people don't.
And it's so unfair. It's so unfair to.
People hate James fans. People don't hate James. They hate his fans. And I think it's the same thing. It falls on James, just like I think it's falling on Tatum. People don't hate Tatum. Tatum's like a super nice guy. Yeah, but it's the expectations that others put on him. People hate that narrative, and now it's falling on looking like Tatum hate. But again, it's not. It's what people said he was going to be.
Marquavian, you a sucker too, B. Marquavian, you a sucker too. Let me tell you why he's a sucker. But he hasn't. He a sucker too. He a sucker too, because 1 minute, like he's the same as Brax. He's the same as all them other dudes. Like he's the one. He'll smile in my face. Like he'll come on my channel.
Oh
right? He'll come on my channel and then wait. He'll do the same thing. He a sucker too, yo. He a straight sucker.
We all know that. At least some of you guys come up. Come on, FIFA.
Yeah. I know we have a guest. I know we have a guest. So give me 1 second. No, give me 1 second, guest. Hold on. Speaking of your channel, I had the pleasure of jumping on quickly and watching you last night, and you had some Kingdom guy.
Go Kingdom. That's my dude.
This is not your dude. And you guys are really bad at math. I want to.
This has to do with Will. We're not.
If it had nothing to do with Will, nothing to do with.
But they said we ain't doing that no more.
We're not doing that.
You're not going down that rabbit hole no more.
And you guys did the math, and you said for someone to surpass this 40K, they'd have to come in out the gate averaging 30 a game for 21 years. And I just want to put it into perspective a little. And listen, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Let's be clear. I'm not saying it's going to happen. And listen, Jordan's an exception to the rule. We understand that, but I just want to use him as the example. So in his 11 full seasons that he played for the Bulls, so there's the one that he missed due to injury and one that he only, or 18 games he played, and the other game 17 games because of the retirement. So in his 11 full seasons with the Bulls, he averaged 2,582 points a season, a little bit more, but I rounded down. That has him at 40K at 15.49 seasons. So call it 15 and a half seasons. So I'm just saying, is it
so possible? He averaged, so how many points a game Jordan averaged for 15 seasons?
For 11 seasons, 2,582 per year.
So how many is that per game? So that's like 33 a game.
31. 31.
Okay, so 31 a game for 15 seasons. That puts
11
him at
seasons.
40.
11 seasons. Oh, yes.
11 seasons.
11 seasons. Yeah, 11 seasons. Yes.
11 seasons at 31 a game.
That's what he did. So if you to get it to 40, it would have to be he'd have to do that for 15 seasons.
So 15 years at 31 a game.
31 a game. So my point is, with the scoring the way it is today, 15.49. So it's 15 and a half seasons, to be fair. Is that I don't listen. I don't think it's going to be another just like LeBron, right? It was 38 years after Kareem broke the record that LeBron broke his record. It took. So I'm not saying this is going to happen in 10 years, but I'm saying, is it in 40 to 50 years with the knowledge of the way the game is, unless they change it in terms of scoring? Like now we have 3 guys averaging over 30 a game, whereas before you typically had 1. Right. And with the long ball being as prevalent as is, people shooting it at such a high clip, who knows in 10 years, right? The 4-point line. All I'm saying is 40,000, it seems insurmountable, but I'm just telling people, don't when Kareem broke Wilt's record, we thought that'll never be broken. And we lived to see that person. So not me and him, but you, I feel like you're going to see a 50,000 point person, because with the technology, I think with them wanting players to play more games, it becoming a thing. Mm-hmm. It's insane what James has done. Let me put that out there first. But I just wanted you to know, like, Jordan, I don't know, maybe this is something that makes him even more impressive, is in those 11 years at 2582, he would have been at 40K at 15 seasons. So that's it's a damn shame he retired, because we never got to see it. It's a damn shame.
So in 11 seasons, in 15 seasons, he would have had 40,000 points. So in 15 years, he would have had to average 31 a game for 15 years. Could he have averaged? So Jordan at, let's see, in year 15, in year 15,
and no injuries.
I want to make sure that we understand, and I want to make sure that we clear on this, Tone. So we talking about a dude in Jordan who, let's see, he showed up in 84, 15 years. That would have been 15 straight years. That would have been the 98-99 season. They only played 50 games that year. So he's not getting 82 games that year.
No, that's no 50. 50 is enough in that last year.
Okay, so 50 is enough in that last year. That's a 36-year-old Jordan. He's averaging 30 a game, which, by the way, he was going the other way, because he averaged 28 a game the year before that in 98. So he averaged 28 a game the year before that. So in 99, which is a shortened season, he's going to still be averaging almost 30 a game to get to 40,000. I don't think Jay doing it. I don't.
Oh, I didn't say Jay. I didn't say he was doing it. What I said was, in his 11 full seasons with the Bulls, he averaged.
Hey, hold on for a second, Tone. Hey, H, do me a favor. Yeah. James got to go. He's got to leave. He does. Oh. He's got to go. I can't handle it, yo. Because I'm
you're in timeout. I'm just putting him in
timeout. He got to go.
There's 3 minutes left. Let us go first.
He's in timeout. He's still here, but he
got to go. He got to go, yo.
Timeout.
Because
he got to go.
Because Jay needs some. We need to keep things chill because we don't want any problems. So
y'all dudes think this shit is funny, and it's not, yo.
Yeah, there need to be restrictions.
Y'all do. Him, Marquavian Black. I for real. This dude, Marquavian. Y'all dudes think this shit is funny, and it's not, yo. It really isn't.
I don't know. I didn't see the
really
post.
Isn't, yo. It really isn't.
I have a guess. What does our guest
gotta go? Marquavian got to go too. Get him up out of here too.
All right, Marquavian. Sorry, you got to go.
Get him up out of here too.
What am I missing?
Okay. Get him up out of here too.
All right. We're moving on. Issa, sorry for all of that. What's your thoughts for us today? Any questions?
You guys are good. Hello, everybody on the stage. I was on Chill's podcast a couple of days ago. I wanted to ask, from the teams that we've seen, like you guys talked about Atlanta, I'm thinking of Sacramento. I'm even thinking about the Bucks. They've all taken a step back in positionings of like winning, whether it be injury or not. I was thinking, out of those teams that you believe has probably taken a step back, what do you think they would need to do to bring them a step forward, like going on from now? Because I'm thinking of a team like in Atlanta that, like Chill said, a couple of years ago, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. They probably shouldn't have been there, but they were there. And ever since then, it's just been regressing. So what do you think, a team that you probably think has taken a step back, what do you think they need to do to get back or go further than where they were?
I felt like they should have upgraded that roster, and they didn't. And I think it's too late now. I feel like they are who they are. So there isn't a quick fix in Atlanta where, you can get one guy. They ain't getting Wemby, right? They're not getting a franchise player like that. Nah, they already had that franchise player.
They might be getting Wemby.
And if you trade him, no Tone, that means that we starting over in Atlanta. And he might be getting Wemby, but in San Antonio. Like you just said. Exactly. So
I just listen. I caught a lot of heat because I think it was on the panel. Yeah, I was on the panel. You guys asked if I was the Atlanta GM, what would I do? And I said, well, you can't win with Trae. And I listen. The most comments I read said, well, you can't win him as the number one. Well, that's kind of the point. If you can't win with him as the number one, then you agree with what I'm saying, even though they tried to say they were disagreeing. I don't think Trae is the type of player that can be the best player on a team that goes on a championship run.
A 1A.
He can't be that 1A. Yeah, if he's the number 2, the number 3, 1,000%. But as
like a Jamal Murray, you would say?
What's
like
that?
Sounds like a Jamal Murray type of role.
Equivalent.
Yeah, 100%. If you pair him with a guy like that, like a guy like Jokic, 1,000% he could be that guy. Because I think he's a phenomenal talent. There's certain guys that can lead teams to championships as the number one, and others that just, for whatever reason, again, not knocking him at all. I think he's phenomenal. I just don't think his play style is the type that can be the one on a team that goes to a championship. And everyone took that as I said he's a bad player. Never said he was a bad player.
But wait a minute though, Tone. If that's true, is it fair to say that the play style isn't that until they actually do it? Because I felt the same way about Kyle Lowry. I'm like, you can't win an NBA championship with Kyle Lowry as your lead guard. Only except you can win it with Kyle Lowry as your lead guard. But you need this in order to do it, though.
Right, but he wasn't the best player on the team.
I didn't think you needed that.
The second best player. When
I didn't think you needed that.
Nah, he wasn't the second best player.
I didn't think you could win it with Kyle Lowry as your lead guard. Period. I don't care who you had. That's what I thought. I'm like, you're not winning the NBA championship with Kyle Lowry as your lead guard. He had too many holes in his game.
I think there's always listen. If you can win with Shane Battier as your starting power forward, anything is possible. And so I think again, Kyle Lowry was in a great situation where he was their starting lead guard, but he had Kawhi Leonard, superstar. He had Pascal Siakam, budding all pro. Like he was about like the next year he became an all NBA player. The year after that, he had Fred VanVleet spelling him off the bench. He had Norman Powell. He had Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka. Like that team was so collectively covered for all the roles that I think it covered up what you saw in him, right? Ill-timed shots, ill-timed turnovers, periods in the playoffs where he just disappears and you don't see him. But what happened was when he disappeared, right? Fred came off the bench and dropped 9 in 3 minutes, right? Norman Powell came in off the bench and dropped, started knocking down shots. So it covered up those things that you saw in him. Whereas it's easier to cover that up that it is your number one. Like if Trae starts doing his 4, 5, 6 turnovers, right, and missing shots, you can't.
That's so bad, Joe.
There's no gas if Trae's not playing well. So you don't have that second guy or 1A to come out and like.
And if you all remember, I made a bet with Ron that he was more likely to, I think, have more turnovers than field goal. He's more likely to have 5 turnovers than score 40 points or something during the playoffs. I think last year, the year before we made that bet, I won. He never paid his bet, by the way. And it was just because
he didn't, Tone. I remember that. I do remember that, Tone. He owe you some bread for that. I do remember that.
Never paid. But my point is, that's the kind of player he is. He's so inconsistent with that type of thing that if he's the one, you can't overcome it. If he's the two. If he's the 2 and he can be like, hey, it's a bad game, I'm going to do these other things, you go. That's what you need to do. That's how you can win.
Do you think Atlanta has helped has they helped him in any way cover his deficiencies? Because I think he's just such a defensive liability, even though he's gotten better, at least the team defensive side of things, not one-on-one. But he's such a defensive liability. And I think his offensive game is just predicated on too much of his his biggest strength was just his scoring aspect, but I think weaker in the playmaking department.
I agree with you for sure. I don't think Atlanta has done him many favors. I think they have not. That's the toughest thing. I feel like this is why I keep thinking I could be a great GM, is that I feel like a lot of players don't get the pieces around them that they should have, right? Trae should have defensive-minded players around him, at least one on the perimeter and one in the front court. Dame Lillard, same thing, right? Like putting Lillard with Beasley on the perimeter, you've seen what has happened, right? Like, it's gotten better now, but like there's certain players that you need to be smart about it. And I think they feel like, well, Trae's so good offensively, he's such a good facilitator, they'll figure it out. No, winning comes from role players playing their roles, stars being stars and role players playing their roles. You can't have one or the other. You have to have both. And to your point, I don't think Atlanta's done a good job of doing that.
And what do you think about the Kings or even like a Toronto or a Bucks? Like I know at least for the Bucks.
Have you been watching the show, my man? We talked about this the whole 2 hours that we was here, my man.
Nah, I came very
late. You came late.
Yeah, it's okay. We do actually the show. We have to sign off, but really quick, we'll give you like a 10-second answer. Fluent, do you want a Sacramento Raptors really quick answer?
What's the? I don't know what the question is.
Just why they've kind of fallen off too, right? Is that right?
Sacramento hasn't fallen off.
Or taken a step back.
The Sacramento
I feel like
Kings
they're taking a step back.
Well, they haven't really taken a step back. It's just that the teams in the Western Conference have more tape on them, and they've been paying more attention to them. The Sacramento Kings just showed up last year. Nobody was really paying attention to them. Now they have. So the schemes have gotten different. So it's not like they've taken a step back. It's just teams are more prepared for them now. That's all that is.
Sacramento 100. Same thing. Sacramento, I think even last year they overachieved, and a lot of times you'll see that. Atlanta, your team, remember that when they had 5 All-Stars that year, everyone thought they were going to be a mate. No, they had a season where they overachieved. They surprised people. That's what Sacramento did last year. They surprised Toronto. Listen, I told you guys from the jump, I had Toronto as the 27th when we did our.
I thought they were going to be bad. I did. I thought they were going to be bad.
My preseason ranking was 27th, and they are 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25. They're 24th and dropping, right? They're going to be in that 25, 26, 27 range when it's all said and done. They hired a coach who develops young talent. So the plan was from the beginning to get rid of OG, get rid of Pascal, and go with like this youth movement and let Darko, build up something from the ground up. So that's what we're seeing. I said the same thing about Detroit. Coach, I always forget his name. Can you tell me Detroit's coach?
Monty Williams.
Monty Williams said, "Hey guys, it's going to get worse before it gets better." And no one believed me when I said Detroit's going to stink. And they're like, "No, they hired Monty Williams."
You did say that. You said they were going to be garbage, Tone. I didn't buy it. I thought they were going to be a lot better.
Yeah,
I thought they were going to be a lot better than what they were. I didn't think 28 straight losses bad. I didn't think they were going to be that bad. No.
I didn't think that bad, but yeah. So that's what I think happened with Toronto. Is that was planned for Toronto, and I think Sacramento just overachieved last year. And this is who they are. This is who they are.
I appreciate you guys. Have a nice night.
Yep.
I appreciate you.
Later. We gotta shake this spot.
You know what's funny? We have a bit of a problem.
What's that?
Well, we can't.
We gotta wait for H to come back. We gotta wait for H to come back because
I am here as a guest today. I did not. Yeah. I don't have administrative access.
Yeah, we gotta wait for H to come back.
You don't have administrative access.
I do not. I don't.
Host Haley has looks like she had an internet freeze. So what would you like to talk about until Haley comes back and ends the stream? Is there anything? I can't even pull up anything other. Maybe I'll tell you this interesting stat. Can I share a stat with you?
What you got?
All right. Well, we'll play a game. All right, here's the game. In the NBA, in NBA history, excuse me.
There she is. There she is.
No, if you want. Sorry, my computer freezes like every hour. I don't know. So
is it like Cinderella? It can't go past a
certain
amount,
point.
right?
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, that's where I'm at. But yeah, you can finish if you want to do that really quick.
I have an interesting stat that I thought I pulled up on screen to share with you guys, but
man. Can we get up out of here? I'm so sick of
these. Okay,
H, I swear these dudes take years off my life, yo. They do, man. I swear. Tone, you don't have a problem with when I played, I didn't have a problem with the dudes in the crowd that talk. I really didn't. In fact, I went back and forth with these dudes, but like these dudes in the chat, like these dudes take years off my life because this kind of exchange is so suckerish. It's so corny. Like I can't really like you sitting behind a computer screen. You X amount of miles away. I can't, man. These dudes, they take years off my life, yo. They do, and I really can't handle these dudes. And to be honest with you, I really don't know how much longer I could do this.
They don't stand on business.
I really don't. I really don't know how.
FIFA takes years off my life too.
I can't. I came up here. I got involved in this to talk basketball. Like I didn't know that this was part of it too. If I would have known this was part of it, I'm not sure that I would have got in this. I'm really not. I might have had to rethink this if I've known that dudes sitting behind a computer screen could affect my life and bother me and get on my nerves as much as these dudes do. Like I this times I dread coming up here because I got to deal with these clowns, yo. For real, I do.
Jay, you know the saying, never let them know your next move. So don't let them know the things that
I don't.
That bother you.
I really don't. But like these dudes, man, they talk to me like they know everything. Number two, there's like, for example, we had a stream today on the panel. Like we had some really good conversation. Do you know that these dudes was in the chat the whole time going over stuff that I said in the past? Not only going over stuff that I said in the past, my one-liners. Like we was talking basketball. That's what we were doing. We was talking basketball. I don't think
you're like
and it was really good conversation.
You're ahead of PC, so you're gonna get the just like we do with
good conversation.
Just like we do with the greatest athletes.
It was great conversation. And I don't mind it. That's the thing, H. I don't mind. I don't mind the criticism. I don't mind any of that stuff. That stuff doesn't bother me. But you actually missing the game because you worried about talking about me. That's what you really doing. You worried about talking about me, and you missing a damn good game. For real.
I'm just gonna move on. Of the top 150 earning NBA players, okay, of the top 150 earning, so the 150 who've made the most money in the history of the NBA.
Yep.
The top 3, it's actually a tie at number 3. So the top 4 universities that produced those players. Okay. Can you name Duke is number 1. They have produced 13 of the top 150 earning NBA players in history. Duke, number 1. You got number 1.
Jay, you might LSU? No.
Earning players in NBA history, like guys who made the most money.
Guys who made the most money.
Where'd Tatum go to school, Jay?
He went to Duke.
Oh, he's Duke too.
Yeah, that's why you got number 1.
That's the only one I know.
Something about the guys who had the biggest contracts. Not only the guys who had the biggest contracts, who played the longest.
Marquette.
So,
Marquette is not on the list.
Virginia,
wouldn't be on the list.
Marquette has made one player.
How about Ohio State?
Ohio State is not on the list.
I only know football.
Ohio State is not on the list.
Yeah, this is
Chat. Help us out. Do something.
Texas
here.
is not. University of Texas is 5th.
How about Syracuse?
Ooh. UCLA?
UCLA is tied for number 3 on the list.
Okay. Tar Heels?
North Carolina, surprisingly,
is not on the list.
Is tied for 5th, but I mean, there's 10 teams tied at 5th. That's why I just want the top 3, which is actually 4 because there's a tie at 3. You got Duke at 1, and you have UCLA tied at 3. So you're missing number 2. And who's tied with UCLA at number 3?
I'll give you Michigan. How about Michigan?
Ooh, Michigan's a good one.
Michigan is just below. They are tied with 5 others at 4th.
How about Michigan State?
They are not on the list.
Michigan State is not on the list.
What about like Alabama or something? Is Alabama?
Alabama's not.
That's football. I don't know. College is not that much.
I'll give you a hint.
I'm thinking about leagues.
I will say Brax is the first one I saw say it. Oh, I can't put him on screen. Can you put Brax on the screen? Brax's answer. Brax. Kentucky is number 2 on the list with 12. They are 1 behind. So you've got Duke at 1, Kentucky at 2, UCLA at 3, tied with, you're never going to get it, so I'll tell you.
Yeah, just
Gonzaga.
Oh, that makes sense. Gonzaga's.
Does it? I mean, Stockton played there. Who else played there?
Did Chet play there?
No idea.
Like who is playing at who came in the league from Gonzaga that's making real money like that?
NBA players from Gonzaga. I have Domantas Sabonis, Chet Holmgren, Kelly Olynyk, Rui Hachimura, Jalen Suggs.
Rui went to Gonzaga.
Rui did go to Gonzaga. That's right.
Ronnie Turioff, friend of the show.
Yeah.
John Stockton, Adam Morrison. They've had
the highest paying. That doesn't seem to add up.
It really doesn't
at all. None of those guys are.
Sacre, I think he went to Gonzaga too. Played for the Lakers.
Hey, listen, let me tell you this. Kelly Olynyk just signed a 2-year, $26 million. Olynyk. Just signed a 2-year. Don't tell me I was Canadian.
Kelly O. That's Kelly O. Kelly O.
The 2-year, $26 million extension with the Raptors. He's getting his money.
Guess he ain't going nowhere. Huh?
Yeah. All right, you guys. W overtime, but we are gonna sign off for tonight. Appreciate all of you, most of you, in the chat. No, I'm just kidding. We love you guys, but you gotta chill out. Chill out on Jay.
I ain't gonna lie. I do not. I don't love you.
Who you are. Don't chill out. Don't listen.
I can hate you guys. I'm not saying that I can
this next week. Then the next week for me. Give us.
I can hate every last one of you do.
I love the hate.
I can hate you guys. I do.
I love the hate.
All right, you guys.
I like the pain.
Jay.
Later. Take it light. We're taking.